All right, Kingkillers, we're covering chapters 60 through 63 in this episode. Going to see the tension start to ratchet up as Kvothe tells the mayor that Caudicus is poisoning him. We get another meeting with Bredon, and we're going to see Stapes looking super shady as he meets with Caudicus late at night. Then we talk about why Tim weirdly went topless this episode. We get more on our awesome bathroom break theories. Kvothe's going to pretend that he is above gossip, and we're going to flesh out more on Stapes' grocery skills. So sit back and enjoy. All right, welcome back to the Kingkiller podcast. Got Tim with me here. He's not wearing a shirt for some reason. It's making me very uncomfortable. So it's going to be a rough episode. It's very, very uncomfortable, especially when he stands up, because I don't know if he's just shirtless. I don't see him below the waist, and it's just a very uncomfortable. It's going to be rough for me this whole episode.
Well, I was going to say I'll put it on once I'm not so hot, but no, now I'm definitely getting butt naked for the entire episode. I'll stand up at random times. It's a little surprise.
It's not a good look for you. I mean, it's just not.
I don't know. I think I look okay. Feel pretty good.
Hey, I mean, just be thankful that these are episodes that you guys don't have to see the video.
I'll put it out. I mean, we'll do a paywall for it, you know?
Yeah.
People really are going to want this. Once they hear about it, now they're really going to want to see it.
Yeah, one Bitcoin and you can see Tim topless.
Well, like I said, there might be moments that I jump up out of my chair just to give you a little peek, just to give the fans what they want, you know?
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm changed. Yeah, ladies, like the millions and millions and millions of ladies that listen to our podcast, if you want to see Tim topless, you guys combine together, send us one Bitcoin. I'll send you the video.
Why one? Each one. You know what I'm saying?
One's enough. It's not kickery. But yeah, so we're gonna be jumping into chapter 60 to start this episode. Chapter 60 is Wisdom's Tool. In this one, Kvothe's able to somewhat convince the mayor that Caudicus is poisoning him. He then uses some money from the mayor to go to Lower Severin and pick up supplies to make a tea to help the mayor get through the night from the poisoning. And he also ends up seeing Denna on his way back from Lower Seven, surprising.
Yeah, they're like back and forth on his distrust, and then Kvothe trying to earn it, kind of prove little things about his background and his knowledge and why he would know that. How that whole thing plays out is pretty cool. I really like. I mean, we've been getting this with the mayor from the jump with who he is. You know, Rothfuss sort of gives us these little pieces about, keeps him quite realistic. I mean, this isn't the guy that's just going to be like, all right, he is? Okay, now what? Like, I mean, you know, like he trusts this guy. He had Caudicus for what, a dozen years?
Yeah.
So, yeah, he clearly has trust within Caudicus's abilities, but Kvothe does quite a good job at proving his points.
Yeah, and I like that aspect of him where he's like, you know, you were right to speak that close and soft. You're treading on dangerous ground, but speak. I will hear you. I like the aspect of the mayor that he does trust. He has trust in these people that are around him, like Caudicus and obviously Stapes. He has extreme trust in him, but he's also not. He knows the position he's in. He knows that, you know, people would betray him, and he is in a prime spot for someone to be doing shady shit to. So he's still like, all right, I don't believe you, but fucking say what you gotta say. I'll hear you out. We'll get to it. I mean, he's still way too dismissive. It's easy for us to say because we know Kvothe isn't lying, but And he doesn't know Kvothe from a hole in the ground. I mean, he's just met this kid. He's talked to him a handful of times. He does not know him. He knows these other guys. He's known them for, years and years and years. So over a decade, and Stapes his whole life. So it's understandable that he wouldn't trust Kvothe, but you still would think, like, once, he starts to feel better that second day, that might, earn a little more trust than it does.
Yeah, he's definitely he's a skeptic. It seems like by nature, but also earned over time. He's not very trusting, but he's an interesting character because Kvothe does impress him, and he does respect what he has been impressed by. But yeah, he just doesn't seem like a very trusting dude, and he's so cutthroat that, yeah, we get a lot of the nuance in the relationship in these chapters. It's great. It's part of what I like so much about book 2 is it's such a complex character, and the relationship is so complex because Kvothe has to be a little bit aggressive at times to get to his point and oversteps his bounds every now and then. And we get some good pieces of that in these chapters especially. One of the things that, speaking to how the Maer is kind of a bit complex, so when he asks Kvothe to show a bit of magic to sort of prove himself, he gets surprised when he makes the room go dark. He has a startled intake of breath, is what Kvothe hears. And then when Kvothe makes the ring glow, the Maer does. Maybe he's faking in a way, but he's like, "That'll do." And he didn't seem at all unnerved, and there's no hint of it in his voice, where he's just kind of like he doesn't seem impressed, which made me think a couple things, like he's seen magic before.
I don't. Yeah, he's probably seen magic. He's got Caudicus, with him.
Yeah,
and so he's probably seen it, but he still is a little bit. Even when Kvothe later on, when he's going to make the gram for him, and he has him put his fingerprint on the apple, and then he stabs the apple, and it pokes the Maer's finger and draws a little well of blood, like that. Like his eyes go wide, but he keeps his expression much more in control than most people. So I think a lot of it is just that this is who he is. He doesn't lose control. Even like we see when Kvothe pisses him off and in front of some guards, when Kvothe's like, "I'm going to go and talk to the Maer," goes storming up to him, and the Maer, when he sees Kvothe in front of people, he's just like, "Hello, Kvothe, how are you doing?" But underneath that, this motherfucker is stewing. Like, as soon as he sees Kvothe, he is mad as hell. And so, but he knows the game. He knows how to play the game. It's very much like Bredon talks about, like, you got to play a beautiful game. The Maer knows the game. He knows how to play the game. He knows how to put on a face. And so I think it's more that than that he's just blasé about magic, because when he talks about magic, it's clear he doesn't understand magic.
Yeah, I think it's true. I think he does hold his composure in a big, big way, and he kind of puts on a front like, "Oh, okay, that's enough." But he's also sick and everything else. So there's a combination of things that are happening. But yeah, I think that's probably more so what it is. And I think you're probably right. We find out Caudicus is an arcanist, so I would imagine in 12 years he's probably shown the Maer something.
Yeah.
In that period of time to at least impress him in some, or there's all kinds of different circumstances where you can conjure up reasons why that would happen. But
I like the Maer when he's like, Kvothe's like, I'm a student at the university as well as a musician, and the Maer's like, which university? Because Kvothe he holds the university in such high esteem that he's just like, I go to the university. It'd be like he's like, I go to Yale. And the Maer's like, what the fuck's a Yale? And he's like, Yale. It's I've only seen it. I've always called it Yale.
I've only seen it written.
Yeah,
that's why they say the Ohio State University, in
Yeah.
case you get confused.
Yeah. Yeah,
Or that's
instead
why
of
they
just Ohio State University. No. I
Yeah.
go to the Ohio State University. Totally different. Two different schools.
Yeah, you don't want to. Yeah, you don't want to confuse it with Boise State or Iowa State. It's the Ohio State. Thanks.
Yeah.
I was worried about that. Or Miami, they like to call it the U.
HIO. Hey, that's the best chair in sports. They spell Ohio.
Pretty good.
Yeah. So any Ohio State fans listening, fix that chair up. That's pretty freaking lame.
Fix it up.
But yeah, I like the fact that Kvothe holds the university in super high esteem, and the mayor's just like, which university? I don't know. Oh, you're a magician. And so,
yeah, it's funny. That's one of those other cultural things that we've also kind of had to get used to, or that we've been getting throughout the books as well. And Kvothe reminds us repeatedly in these chapters that in Vent, by and large, they don't trust magic, right? Like a lot of the superstition about magic. So he has to tread lightly with a lot of what he does. He doesn't get burned on at a stake or something for looking like a conjurer of sorts. But that's one of the things about the mayor. He seems more worldly than that, but then also he's still Ventish, right? So there's that kind of odd balance that seems to be within him that we're not. I mean, I guess if you take the larger context of the books, you can understand it a little bit better, but I'm trying to look at it from the perspective of like a first-time reader.
Rothfuss does a really good job within the culture, because obviously, if you get to someone who's unsophisticated enough, then you can kind of see the superstition is more pronounced, and it's more like a childlike fucking fear type of thing. Whereas with the mayor, it's more he grew up in that environment, so he does have some of those, but he's been around Caudicus. He's seen things. He's in a more prominent position where he is more cultured, and he's seen more of the world and more different things. So he's not as Ventish as someone who's just grown up on a farm in Vent and has never seen anywhere else. He's more cultured, and I think you can see that difference when you see, like, when Kvothe goes to like that town where he rescues the two girls. He goes to that town, like, you can kind of see similar cultures, but there's a vast difference between the mayor and them, and a lot of it is the environment that they grow up in and who they meet, and all. They see more of the world. They are more cultured. They are more accustomed to being around other people, and Rothfuss does a real good job of writing that into the mayor.
Yeah, it's interesting that sort of situational circumstances also with the Chandrian, in terms of Kvothe wants to read about the Chandrian at the university, and a lot of people kind of react like Caudicus does, which is interesting. You know what I mean? Because, like, again, that's what's such an interesting thing about what perspective we have, because we're with Kvothe from the beginning. His family's killed by the Chandrian. We know they're real, but the whole world is like, no, this is, they're fabled. They're the boogeyman.
Yeah,
that you're scared of, instead of it being real. And then it's kind of the interesting thing where you get like bumpkins have superstitions which are based in all this tradition, and then the most sophisticated, at the highest level of understanding, say an Abinthy, also has these superstitions because of what he's knowledgeable of, and then some of it's just like don't tempt fate type situation.
The Chandrian stuff's interesting with like Caudicus, because that's very much applicable to our world, because you see that if you just go through history, there's so many things where like the scientists of the world, like the guys that, you know, they view themselves as much more intelligent than everybody else, and they just understand things. And, you know, then you got these like simpleton Wright brothers that are like, you know, we're going to fucking create a device, a machine that flies. And all the scientists of that era were writing, this is impossible, this won't work. And they're like, da da da, you know, we got all these reasons why this is impossible, this can't work, it's not, this will never happen. And then they fucking do it. And, you know, now we're at where we're at now. And then after that, then the scientists go back and then they try, you know, they reverse engineer everything. And then they're like, well, now this is how it worked. But before they knew it could work, it was impossible. It can't be done. It's not, yeah. And most of history is like that. Most of the inventions are not coming from scientists. It's coming from Joe Schmo, who doesn't know jack shit about science, invents some amazing thing, and then the scientists reverse engineer it after that to figure out how he did it. After, you know, they were saying it was possible. It's such a prominent thing through history, and you see that in that kind of reaction from a Caudicus and educated people who are like, no, Chandrian don't exist. That's, you know, that's stupid nonsense. Even though Kvothe knows they exist, he's seen them. He's seen them, and he's also seen the aftermath of them at the Waltham farm. But to the educated people, it's just pure nonsense.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. It's a funny thing that we do have in our world of like the arrogance of the accredited individuals, you know what I mean? Because you've been patted on your back and told you're so intelligent, you've studied so much, you have all this arrogance and closed-mindedness to things that you don't understand or are inexplicable to you.
Part of it is like when you go into just one field, you're getting like a PhD, you're just hyper focused on one thing. You're going to be very knowledgeable on that one thing, but because you focused on one thing, your knowledge outside of that area is going to be more limited. But you're super knowledgeable about that one thing, and a lot of people, that ego gets them, where they think, since I'm so smart about this, I must be smart about everything. And so they branch out into shit they don't fucking know. Like, I mean, they're branching out into, you know, while the Wright brothers are doing, you know, inventing a plane in just trial and error and trying to figure it out, and just not, they're not, the idea that it's impossible to them is they're just not accepting that. And so they're just trying, and they figure it out. Whereas these other guys are, you know, they know what they know, and they think, you know, that they have too much trust in their own knowledge. They don't appreciate how limited their knowledge is.
Well, and it also, it in a way, it also shapes the way they think, and that's going to close their ability to think in other ways to a degree. But then also, people that don't have as much acclaim or haven't applied themselves in a study as far as that person will just believe them. Well, that guy's a scientist. And that guy's got a diploma on he's got a bunch of diplomas and all these accreditations, so I guess he knows what he's talking about. You know, but you know, not everybody can be as humble as you. So, you know, that's what people should be striving for.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, some of them are fucking extremely brilliant, but, you know, the smartest guy in the world, you know, like people like a Feynman or Dan, you know, like the top 1%, like we 99% of all information in the world we're ignorant to.
Yeah.
But I do love too, though, where Kvothe, he's like going up to the window and he's like, oh, it'd be nice for some fresh air. And then he opens it up and he's like, I've always found that taking in some air is good for whatever troubles a body, though others disagree. I smiled at him. He didn't return it. Yes, you're very clever. Come here and sit. I did so, taking a chair near his bedside. Now explain yourself. I love that part where Kvothe is like thinking he's clever by opening the window, and I don't even know what he's exactly doing. Is he like trying to just muffle the noise and bring in some outside sound so no one can listen in or something like that. But whatever he's doing, he finds himself being very clever, and the mayor's just like, yeah, okay, dude, fucking let's stop putting on a show. I want the nuts and bolts.
When I saw that, I was like, is this an inside joke between them that I'm missing? Like, I didn't get it as clearly. I thought I was missing something.
I think I took it as like he was opening the window so there was noise that would muffle what they're talking about. Other than that, I can't think of anything else, any reason why he would think he's being clever by doing that. Like, because you get the noises from the birds and stuff like that, so it could muffle what you're saying.
Well, that's the thing that's put me back a little, is the fact that the mayor said, you're very clever. If he didn't say that, I wouldn't have as much
But yeah, but he's saying sarcastically, like, yes, yeah, you're very clever. I'm super impressed.
Yeah, no, that's why I thought it was something that was spoken between them on one of their walks, and I just forgot. But I guess not.
No,
he thought he was being funny or clever.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe the mayor says that to him. Maybe that's it. Maybe the mayor said, I always found that taking in some air is good for whatever troubles the body. Yeah, it could be that too. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, and maybe the mayor had said that to him. And so that's why he thought he was being clever. So yeah, I don't remember though. I don't remember. It didn't matter to me what Kvothe thought he was being clever on. I just liked the fact that the mayor was like, dude, shut up, nerd.
Well, and then we get what I was talking about earlier, where, he's basically like, yeah, I told Caudicus I was compiling a collection of stories, blah, blah, blah. And then he's just like, yeah, proof that you're a skilled liar hardly gains you my trust. So then Kvothe starts getting this like knot in his stomach, like, ah, shit, man. He's still like, there's more convincing I have to go with here.
Yeah.
So he starts like pleading his case.
He tells him it, and then he's like, I asked for proof and you tell me a story. Caudicus has been a faithful servant for 12 years. Nevertheless, I will consider what you said. And he tries to dismiss him, and he's like, Kvothe jumps in. Your grace wants proof? I want my medicine, he snapped, and I want to sleep. Please do. Your grace, I can. How dare you interrupt me? Alvaron struggled to sit up in his bed, his voice furious. You go too far. Leave now, and I may still consider retaining your services. He was trembling with rage, his hand still reaching for the vial. I like these scenes where the mayor snaps, because you see how precarious Kvothe's situation is in an instant. I mean, how dangerous the mayor truly is. Like, if this guy, and then you really see when you hear about the story with the gibbet, then you really understand, like, how you really need to walk on eggshells around this dude. Like, he can be buddy with you 1 second, and then the next second happens and the script is completely flipped, and now he wants to murder you. And if he wants to murder you, there's nothing you can do about it. He's going to kill you.
Well, it's the smallest thing, being interrupted.
Yeah.
Like, it tells you how petulant he is, or how his entire life he's been royalty. He's interrupted, and he's like, all right, that's it. You're done. I may never talk to you again.
Yeah.
Like, what the dude? What the fuck, man?
I will never speak to you again. How dare you?
But
that's how I feel on the podcast. Anytime you like start chiming in before I'm done talking, I'm ready to just fucking walk off. That's it. It's over. I'm never speaking to you again.
And this especially, for some reason, I tend to like forget how knowledgeable Kvothe is with the Medica knowledge. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's because he spent so much time with Kilvin. It's like I forget how much he does know about this type of stuff, and he immediately gains himself back with, you vomited recently. It was milky and white. Which, man, what was this guy? What was Caudicus giving him? Because
lead and dinner.
That sounds like something else, right?
Well, he's mixing it with stuff.
I mean, it sounds like, well, I'm just saying, this sounds like what Little Kim had in her stomach.
Oh, man. Why'd you do that? You just made it so gross. So wrong. So wrong. So offensive.
But then he goes on to say what she probably also felt, which your tongue feels thick and heavy. Your mouth is dry and filled with an odd, sharp taste. You have cravings for sweets, sugar. It's interesting too, like the mixture, the fact that he had him also, so he's feeding him lead, but then he's also feeding a phalum. So he's giving him like, it sounds like opium. At least, I mean, I don't know about you, but that's what it sounds like to me. Laudanum or the ophalum. It sounds like
dinner.
What?
Are you talking about what Kvothe gives him or what Caudicus?
No, what he's basically addicted to.
Oh,
so
yeah,
it's a very
it's dinner.
Interesting. Yeah. So it's yeah. But I'm just saying for our world, it seems like basically like an opium addict or heroin, and it's a really interesting situation to create because he's dying, he's being slowly poisoned, but then he's also becoming a drug addict at the same time. And what's so funny about that, you get this side of the Maer that's like kind of like the Puritan, or it's like, a weakness. Like the fact that he's like addicted to something comes out as a weakness, and it challenge. Well, go ahead.
Well, what I was going to say is like the thing that cracked me up is like, I was thinking about it earlier today. I was like, man, that's a brutal drug. Like, I mean, you're not only or brutal poison, like you're poisoning your body, but then you're addicted to it. And then I was like, that's like fucking every drug. What am I talking about? It's like alcohol. Yeah,
all of
it's
them.
fucking poison, but you're addicted to it. Yeah. So I was like, I guess it's not as sinister as I initially was thinking, other than it's a poison that typically wouldn't be addictive, and he makes it addictive.
Yeah, it's it's that concoction, right? Because I mean, these other drugs slowly kill you, but not like lead poisoning, Yeah, it's great. I mean, and the I mean, just kind of stepping back and looking at the whole situation, it's a really cool thing to consider for the book itself, to have a guy in this high of a position that's in a vulnerable state, in which case Kvothe can prove his worth, and then also in such a dangerous way, man. Like that's what's so great to me. One of the greatest things about the chapters is this is one of those great examples of where Kvothe, in a way, is at his best not thinking. He jumps right in. He doesn't consider, like, how do I approach this? He just tells him he's poisoning you.
Yeah.
And now let's explain it. Let's play it out. Let's see, because he doesn't even think about it until after, he takes him down this route. And then he's like, oh shit, what if this dude dies?
Yeah.
But I guess I'm jumping ahead, but yeah, just like, so here, like basically picking apart his symptoms, right? And what he's been dealing with, which is interesting too, like why Kvothe would have that much knowledge regarding what his ailments would be.
Well, he's training at the Medica. I'm sure this is like, 101, like, I mean, even when he's going through the university exam, not the exams, but the, what do you call them when you go and stand in front of all the masters and they give you your tuition? The
admissions.
The admissions, yeah. When you're going through the missions, he's like, what would you say if someone came in with these symptoms? And so he's obviously studying these exact things, like the different symptoms for things. And then so like you could reverse that. Like if someone is being poisoned with lead, like what would their symptoms be? He could, that's not surprising information that he would
know. No. We've seen that with Arwell too. I mean, he does that throughout situations where Kvothe's there or when Kvothe's there, and Arwell that's how he runs the Medica. I mean, he quizzes Mola every time he just basically throws hypotheticals, even in the midst of the situation. So that makes sense. And we have to get a piece of that here, which is pretty great and smart for Kvothe as well when he's trying to convince the Maer. I'm not going to claim to know exactly what this is, but most of what is poisoning you is lead. That accounts for the palsy, the pain in your muscles, and viscera, the vomiting and paralysis, which he shoots back, I've had no paralysis. So he's kind of like, oh, okay. I'm guessing, there's a goodly amount of phalum, which isn't exactly poisonous. So, they
which
go back
is
and
it?
forth.
Is it poison or medicine?
Yeah.
It's like, but I do like the fact he's like, has your grace ever taken laudanum? Once when I was younger to help me sleep through the pain of a broken leg. Ophalum is a similar drug, but is usually avoided as it is highly addictive. I paused. It's also called dinner resin. The mayor grew paler at this, and in that moment his eyes grew almost perfectly clear. Everyone knew about the sweet eaters. And then, he tells him he probably put that in there because you don't like taking your medicine. And so this, he wanted to make you addicted to the medicine. So
to crave it.
Yeah. So, yeah. And then, the mayor his mind is, running at this point because he's like, it's clever. Kvothe says it's clever. And he's like, not so clever. I'm still alive. It didn't kill me. Kvothe has to point out to him, it's like, well, if he wanted to kill you, he could just put in enough lead. Enough lead would do it. And he's not trying to kill you immediately. This is obviously it's a drawn out process. There's a reason for it. Maer's asked Kvothe why would Caudicus do this? He's like, I have no fucking clue, man. I don't live here.
That'd be your thing. More about the politics involved.
Yeah. So that obviously that is the biggest mystery surrounding this whole event, because obviously Kvothe ends up being exactly right that Caudicus was poisoning him, but why? Mm-hmm. Why is he doing it?
Well, and that seems to also be there for us, for the readers, right?
Yeah.
Because he's like, I pay him lavishly. He's a member of the court in high regard. He has the freedom to pursue his own projects, travel when he wishes. Like, so why now? Doesn't make sense. It's like, well, yeah, that ends up being the mystery because we don't exactly know, but it also makes Caudicus seem to be, or like his background, what his purpose was. It brings up a mystery that we have to tease out and pull apart and try to figure out: is he Chandrian? Is he a Maer? What service? What purpose does he play? And also, because I had that question as I was reading through these chapters again, where I'm thinking, as he's making, it's like, well, does he actually not know? And then Kvothe's like, nah, he absolutely knows. He's an arcanist. Yeah. He knows exactly what he's doing. So
he definitely knows. And too, he definitely knows, because when he suspects that the mayor's not taking it, he changes the ingredients a little bit to make it a little sweeter to test it out, and then bails. And
yes, and then that brings up the question: then is he a tool being used by somebody else? Because if he didn't know, that's different, because he is definitely a tool being used by somebody else. But if is he just a sadist? Right? He's slowly torturing this dude. Like,
well, there's got to be some reason why he's doing it, and power and money are obviously two huge motivating factors for people. It seems like money would not be a great motivating factor for someone like Caudicus because of the position he's already in. It doesn't seem like he needs it for anything like that. The mayor would, the mayor has so much money that it doesn't seem like Caudicus would risk that for extra money. Mm-hmm. And so you would think it's got to have something to do with power or principle, or he's got mixed up with the wrong crew, he's getting pressured, he's getting threatened, there's much more to the story. It could be that he's a member of the Emir, like we've talked about. It could be that the Emir hired him. It could be that the Emir are threatening him. It could be that King Roderick hired him, or someone else hired him, or is threatening him, or is offering him, a high position, a higher position, more power, more prestige, more money. So you would think it has to do with either like Roderick or the Emir or the Chandrian, because those are, as far as in this world that we've heard about, there's not many people more powerful or rich than the Maer. So why turn on him?
And again, it's still the inevitable question that ends up coming up when you go down any of these paths is, but why not just kill him? Why string this along? Why just keep him feeble? What's that about? Is it just to prevent the heir? Because that's what it sort of seems, right? Because, I don't know. You prevent an heir by killing the guy, too.
Yeah, but you could also, if you're Caudicus and you're trying to, let's say it was, they just want to make sure this dude doesn't get married, doesn't produce a kid, and then they're eventually going to kill him, but they want it to be this is something that happens over a long period of time so that there is no suspicion. They don't want anybody questioning why he died. They don't want someone thinking poison or anything along those lines. So they make it a drawn out process. And then it also would leave, if Caudicus was able to kill him in a long drawn out process, and he, ups it up because the mayor's bringing in, having Kvothe come in so he can try to get with Maelowin. So the mayor is like, at a position now where he's like thinking about, I got to fucking get an heir. Got to get one immediately. And so he's desperate. So Caudicus might be like, all right, it's time to fucking put this guy out to pasture. And if he does it in a way where there's no suspicion involved, it could line him up where, King Roderick would appoint him to take over for the mayor. So that could be, a line of reasoning where you could make the story where Roderick hired him to do it and said, if you take him out, then I will put you in his place. But the only way that works is if Caudicus is not suspected of killing the mayor.
Yeah.
So that's like the type, because when you think about power, like what else? Like, what are you just going to be the mayor? Like the governor of some little tiny town? No, you think he would want a prominent position, and to take over as the ruler of that kingdom would be a position that he would covet. And so, yeah, I don't know. It's pure speculation, but that is one path it could go.
Well, obviously we don't know. So yeah. And that's why it brings on the speculation. It's a really interesting mystery to weave into this. To not know, because we don't get the answer, so it stays there. Yeah,
and so Kvothe kind of convinces him, and he's like, and the mayor's like, too much of what you say is too close to the mark for me to ignore. Yet still, I can't believe Caudicus would do such a thing. You can put it to the test, Your Grace. He looked up at me. How's that? Order a half dozen birds brought to your room. Sipquicks would be ideal. Sipquicks? Tiny bright things, yellow and red. I held up my finger about 2 inches apart. They're thick in your gardens. They drink the nectar from your celis flowers. Oh, we call them flits. And so he says, we'll mix your medicine with their nectar and see what happens. So the plan is bring in these birds. We'll feed the birds the medicine. When they start dropping dead, that'll show you that this shit is poison.
It does prove something that I've been suspecting all along, is that Kvothe hates birds. Clearly. He's just trying to kill them.
He's got a real love-hate relationship with animals. Like, when he first sees them, he's like, man, I really think this animal is just beautiful. It's just such a noble creature. And then, like, once they start getting in the way of what he wants to happen, then he's like, why won't you fucking die?
Is that with the Dracus?
Yeah.
Talks about murdering a bunch of horses if he has to.
Yeah. Well, fucking
although,
chop that horse up and feed it to starving kids if I have to.
In a way, these birds, they're asking for it.
Although that wouldn't even be that bad. That was like a terrible example. Like, cut it. Yeah, of course. You got starving kids. Yeah, cut that horse up and fucking feed it to them.
Jeez. Well, I was going to say, I think these birds, in a way, they're asking for it. They're flying all around, thinking they're all cool, singing their songs. Even birds in our world. They just think they're all super fucking Joe Cool, walking around singing songs and eating trash like pigeons on the street. Yeah. They're just asking for it.
Yeah, anytime I see a hummingbird, man, I'm immediately trying to catch it and smash it.
Well,
you think you're hot shit? You think you're hot shit, humming?
Flying all in our faces. We can't do it, and they're just shoving it in our faces. Bunch of jerks. If you think about it,
it's funny though. Like if I went and I like saw like a hummingbird and like someone saw me run up and just like smack it with a shoe, Like they would be horrified.
Yeah.
But if I did the
I'm
same
pretty
thing
sure
with
they
like
would.
a pigeon, they'd be like, "Yeah, fuck that pigeon, fuck gross ass fucking rat with wings."
Maybe. A lot of people would still be upset. But if you did it to an insect, nobody bats an eye.
No, well,
Right?
insects are gross. That they deserve what they get.
What they get.
Yeah, don't be gross.
Don't be gross. Well, I guess that's in the eye of the beholder, isn't it? But most people would agree insects are kind of gross, and it seems to be in our DNA to like be grossed out by insects for sure.
Yeah, they're nasty. I like to we get that the mayor is very loyal to Stapes.
Mm-hmm.
We get this is his homeboy.
It's unflappable.
Yeah.
I mean, he makes it very clear.
I've known Stapes forever, the mayor said firmly, his eyes as clear and sharp as I'd ever seen them. I trust him with my lands, my lockbox, my life. I do not ever wish to hear you imply he is anything other than perfectly trustworthy. There was unshakable belief in his voice. And with good reason. He has every reason to trust that dude. That dude is super loyal too.
Yeah, 100%. Which is pretty great about the character, and again, how that plays out. Because as a first-time reader, you don't know. You're like,
the first time you go through this, you think like him and Caudicus might be working together. Like he's giving Kvothe the stink eye, and then when you see he's meeting with Caudicus a handful of chapters later, like meeting with him at night, and you're like, oh man, this dude's dirty.
What's funny about that is what it is like 100% loyalty towards.
Yeah, he thinks Kvothe is trying to fucking kill his homeboy.
Which makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense when you look at it, and Kvothe even points it out. He comes in, the mayor basically gets way worse. He looked to the point of nearly dying, and that's because of what Kvothe is doing and how he's injected himself so quickly. And gotten involved in such a quick manner. Yeah, of course, to Stapes, that would look like this dude's going to murder my guy here. Like, what the fuck, So, yeah, it makes total sense. And we don't know, obviously, again, on the first read through. But, yeah, the way that plays out and how intensely loyal he becomes to Kvothe just for what Kvothe does for the mayor is great as well.
Yeah, and then when he tells him that he can, get some things to help him get through the night, and Mayor's like telling him, look, all my nights are bad lately. And he's like, this is going to be a real bad one. And he tells him, there will be aching in your jaw and head, sweat, nausea, cramps, and spasms, especially in your legs and lower back. You may lose control of your bowels, and there will be alternating periods of intense thirst and vomiting. I look down at my hands. I'm sorry, Your Grace. That is the worst. That shit is the worst. Like even the mayor, when he talks about I don't know if you've ever experienced, being extremely thirsty but fearing to drink because it'll make you throw up. Yes, I've experienced those moments and they suck. There's nothing worse than being very dehydrated and fearing drinking because it's gonna fucking make you throw up.
I think it's obviously very important that he points out to the mayor that he may poop his pants. He may poop all over himself.
Yeah.
I hear that's what actually keeps drug addicts.
Holy shit. What is he? What is he?
He says bowels. Might lose control of his bowels.
So it's not firm.
No, it's not. It's not as firm as we want it to be.
No.
It's not 100% clear, but from what I understand, this is one of the number one reasons why people continue to use drugs is they would be embarrassed if they poop themselves. So they don't want to poop themselves, so they just keep using. Right?
Yeah, man, that is disappointing. I mean, there are hints. It's that mystery is still up there. I think there's so many hints that lend towards that they might have. They might take poops and pees that I lean towards. I think that's the most likely scenario, but it's still not confirmed. It's still a mystery. It's definitely got to be explored in book 3. That's super disappointing. I thought when you mentioned that, I thought we had it. Can't believe I overlooked that in my notes.
No, it's there, but bowels. That's what we get.
Yeah, Vowels could mean anything.
Yeah, okay.
But so he tells him, he's gonna go down and make him a tea that's gonna help out with his problems, and he's like, the lead in your body, that isn't going to go away on its own. He's like, when I simply pass it, shook my head. Metals are insidious poisons. They become trapped in your body. Only by a special effort can we leech the lead away. I love this. Like the Maer scowled. Damn and bother. I hate leeches. Figure of speech, Your Grace. Only imbeciles and toad eaters use leeches in this day and age. That's some fucking ballsy shit.
Yeah.
After the Maer just said that, and you've seen the Maer's temper, and he's like, damn and bother, I hate leeches. He's like, only imbeciles and toad eaters use leeches. It's like, dude, he just said he uses leeches.
Yeah, I mean,
he says he hates it, but the reason he hates it is because he uses them.
Yeah, it's interesting because just in the same conversation, all he says was lead works slowly in small doses, Your Grace. If he were going to poison you, he would hardly want you vomiting blood 10 minutes after you drink this medicine. I suddenly remembered who I was talking to. That was poorly said, Your Grace. I apologize. That was nowhere close to as bad as calling him an imbecile and a toad eater.
Yeah, I mean, the Mayor could take that as like the guys that are leeching me, that I don't like for leeching me, are the imbeciles and toad eaters.
Yeah.
But you're still saying like you're hiring imbeciles and toad eaters to administer medicine to you, or, that you're, the Mayor could easily take that as he's an imbecile for listening to them.
It's a risky,
yeah, that's a ballsy insult. And like, Maer doesn't even, think anything of it, apparently. But also we learn, I thought about telling him the truth, that he would most likely never be rid of all of it, but decided to keep that bit of information to myself. So I'm curious if the fact that he still has lead in his system comes back into play later on. Because, why, that seems like that doesn't need to necessarily be mentioned to us. Like, why is that brought up?
They probably end up going to an airport. He gets stuck at TSA trying to go through the metal detector.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, he tries to fly to go to King Roderick's King Roderick's got like a new wife. He doesn't show up to that wedding. Roderick's super pissed. Civil war breaks out over it.
He homages Die Hard 2. And there's a line where he says, I wonder what sets off metal detectors first, the lead in the ash or the lead in your ass or the shit in your brains?
Why would the shit in your brains set off a metal detector? That doesn't make any sense.
It's a John McClane line. He says
it's a dumb line.
He says it to Sipowicz, old Sipowicz, the police chief at the...
That's a stupid line. Sipowicz should have pointed out, he should have did the... like Will Ferrell and other guys with the like, really a lion against a tuna? It's like, really? Shit doesn't even set off a metal detector. What are you talking about?
Well, instead, he actually looks a little miffed. But
yeah. So he goes down into Lower Severin, and before he heads down there, he needs to get, he needs the money. So he's like, I will need money, Your Grace. The things, at first he tries to just hint around it, hoping the Mayor will just give him the money. But the Mayor's like, I have no idea what you're talking about. He's like, I'll need money, Your Grace. Things you will need are not easy to come by. And I like this part where he's like, oh, of course. He produced a purse and passed it to me. I was a little surprised to find the Mayor had at least one well-stocked purse within easy arm's reach of his bed. Unbidden, I remembered my tirade to a tailor in Tarbean years ago, what I said to him. A gentleman is never far from his purse. I fought down an inappropriate fit of laughter. I had misattributed it. Like, when we read that part back in whatever episode that was, I was thinking that he thought of that when he robbed Ambrose. But I was misremembering it. It's here is where he has that memory of that scene.
Yeah, there's a couple callbacks. I mean, there's callbacks in the sense that he plays a character, when he
Yeah.
when he does this. But yeah, it's fucking great. I like it's a great little callback, little reminder of that time.
Yeah. And so when the mayor when Kvothe's going to leave, and the mayor tells Stapes that, leave it there and I'll have Kvothe move it for me, Stapes looked a trifle wounded, and you get that he just slowly but surely, like, there's this burning inferno of hatred for Kvothe that just keeps building and building. And I also like the fact that Kvothe mentions the Sipquicks. He's like the perfect pet for nobility. Who else could afford to feed their pet sugar every day? Because obviously in our world, that wouldn't be that extravagant. I mean, sugar's not that expensive. But if you're in a world without easy access to transportation, you don't have planes and ships and all that kind of shit, getting sugar, it's going to be a fucking pain in the ass. So it's going to be super expensive. So it fits with the world. It's good economics in the book right there, where the chocolate and the sugar and those kind of things
the coffee,
very expensive.
Yeah, it seems like all these little things end up being quite luxurious. But yeah, for the mayor, it's nothing.
I mean, obviously they got shipping, but they don't have, like our world shipping. It's not easy. So yeah, you get when he goes to leave, Stapes, Kvothe will be returning later this afternoon. Let him in, even if I happen to be sleeping. Stapes nodded stiffly and gave me another disapproving look. He may be bringing me a few things as well. Please don't mention it to anyone. If there's anything you require, Alvaron gave a tired smile. I know you would, Stapes. I'm simply putting the boy to use. Would rather have you close at hand. Alvaron patted his manservant's arm. Stapes looked mollified. I let myself out. But it's the way Rothfuss does this is really, really good, because it makes Stapes, through Kvothe's eyes, look like he is doing something dirty, like he's hiding something. When he goes in, Kvothe sees Stapes talking to Caudicus, yeah. Kvothe is thinking that he's plotting on him. But then from Stapes' perspective, he sees Kvothe going and seeing his boy when his boy is extremely vulnerable, and he's making him this tea, and Maer's telling him, like, don't tell anybody about it, don't mention this, and like he's bringing in birds. Be like, what is this fucking kid selling him? Like, birds are gonna fucking fix your illness, and so and keeping Stapes out of the picture. He doesn't understand what is going on. It's just making him more and more suspicious, and he's thinking Kvothe is taking advantage of his friend. And so it's set up really well for both of them to distrust each other, and for both of them to be completely wrong.
Well, and it fits both characters as well. Both of how, the situationally, but then also Kvothe is just sort of naturally that way. Stapes is naturally that way as well. It seems like, he can't have somebody else be as close to the mayor as he would be. So he's just that guy to begin with.
And you get how douchey the town is, because he goes down there, or this city is, the nobility at least. He's as he's going to go get the supplies he needs, he sees that he's being followed. Like, their servants are following him to see what he's doing. Like, and it's people looking for gossip mainly. I'm sure that there's bigger players that want to know this information for more than gossip. They're looking for angles, but at least some of them are just fucking gossip mongers. Ooh, keep track of him and follow him around. So he's got to go, a roundabout way to get what he wants, so that they can't fucking put it together what's going on, and that it doesn't get back to Caudicus.
I love, like, he has to go through a heck of a lot, which actually sounds kind of cool. I mean, he just sits down, gets some good food, watches a little play, the part with the apothecary is so great, where because he buys what do you call it, something for impotence cures. Yeah. And then, like, he does this real awkward way of, like, trying to then, like, bribe the guy to, like, not talk about it. I love the
Yeah.
idea of like him saying, "So, do you got anything to like make my hog not so huge?"
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like super awkward,
Yeah.
stupid shit. The
But
guy, because he said he left, and the guy's like, like definitely annoyed as shit.
look, man,
And
like I've been, I got this huge hog, and it's just what I'm finding is like when I'm just plowing and plowing all day long, and it's just working so great. But like after I've been plowing and plowing and plowing, like it eventually gets a little fucking tired. Like, can you help me out in that situation? Like, oh, you're
Yeah.
impotent? Like, no, did you not listen? I just said I was plowing all day long. Sure you were. Sure you were, buddy.
Yeah, I love it's so funny to me. Because he's hesitant to go there, but it's actually quite effective when you think about it, because it's like this guy doesn't want to talk. It's like this guy's an idiot because, well, I mean, the way that the apothecary guy would be looking at Kvothe, because he's insulted. By the time Kvothe finally left, he's insulted and thoroughly irritated by his behavior.
Yeah, he set him up perfectly because, like, once, like, had he just gone and bought the stuff and someone came up and asked what he bought, like, the guy's just probably going to tell him, or he's going to buy. But if he's got him now where he's like, oh, this little fucking prick, I'm going to tell everybody he's got a fucking little tiny wiener they can't fucking get up. Because obviously that would be the thing that he assumes would be the deepest dagger into Kvothe, more than what all he bought.
Yeah, and then he gets his loot back from the pawn shop just in time with 1 day to spare.
Yeah, and I like the description of the city too. Like when he's going back up, you got the
that's great
narrow staircases that cut back and forth up the face of the sheer, and it's like 200 feet. It should be annoying walking up that many stairs, especially zigzagging stairs. It's not for sure. It's almost not a straight shot, so it's probably a long back and forth. So if you're going a lot more than just 200 meters, that would be tiring as shit. And then you got the freight lifts.
Tedious. The cutbacks, especially when
yeah.
Like, what the fuck, man?
Yeah. Then you got the freight lifts were run by a pair of former university students who had a basic grasp of sympathy enough to create a little lift. And then the nobility didn't use the freights. The Venish suspicion of all things remotely arcane took them to the horse lifts. So obviously the mayor knows magic. I mean, there is sympathy right there too. Mm-hmm. And so in his town, but the Venish superstition of all things remotely arcane took them to the horse lifts. These were drawn by a team of 20 horses hitched to a complex series of pulleys. This meant the horse lifts were a little faster and cost a silver eighth bit to ride. Best of all, every month or so, some drunk lordling would fall to his death from them, adding to their popularity by showing the breeding of the clientele. Kind of sounds stupid to me. Like, that doesn't show your breeding, it shows your stupidity. Keep fucking riding this shit when you're drunk. Like, after, it's like, hey, look, Johnny fell off last month. Jimmy this week. Toby fell off 3 months ago.
Toby.
Like, I'm sensing a trend. Don't get drunk and ride this thing. Just walk up the fucking stairs if you don't want to ride the freight.
Yeah, it seems pretty dangerous to get drunk in Severn Low. You could just get drunk up Severn High, it sounds like.
One a month? One a month is falling off drunk?
Yeah,
like,
that's pretty
what you guys
wild.
doing? Like, go fucking get a hotel room, man. Sleep it off. Like, once a month, my buddies are all fucking dying in fucking fiery car crashes. I'm going to be like, hey, guys, maybe we should call an Uber.
Sit down.
Just
sit down, man.
I do not think this drinking and driving is working out for us. But yeah, apparently their drinking and riding up this lift is not phasing them. They take it as like, oh, well, this proves that this is high society shit. Because we get drunk and fall off, and for some reason that makes it better.
Yeah, it's a little strange. It's like, well, I can get drunk and not fall off. Is that
Yeah.
what was like
Yeah.
the ballsiness?
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. It's like playing
Well,
Russian roulette. Look at me.
none of the poors are falling off this thing. It's only the rich people. So there. Like, yeah. So there, you got me.
Well, it seems like a lot of the poor are living in Severin Low. They're not going high anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unless they're, working in homes or something as servants or something.
It's one of those things that always like stands out to me as just completely ridiculous.
Yeah.
But yeah, so then, he when he gets to the top, I turned, stepped off the lift, and saw Denna standing in the front of the line. Her face lit. She cried my name, ran at me, and was nestled in my arms before I knew what was happening. I settled my arms around her and rested my cheek against her ear. We came together easily, as if we were dancers, as if we'd practiced it 1,000 times. She was warm and soft. Like, man, does Rothfuss really give you a punch to the groin with the whole Denna and Kvothe relationship in Severin, because it starts off with a bang and you just see it just keep growing and growing. You're like, all right, they're finally going to get there. And then he just pulls the rug out from under you. It's like, nope, they're going to be further apart than they've been in a long time by the end.
Yeah, in a pretty awful way. Yeah, it's painful, but yeah, I mean, and again, this is when it's like really, Kvothe, you're still in denial? Like, every time she sees you, she's, like, elated?
Yeah.
Pretty clear, man. And you got some of that hot ear action, bro. Like,
oh, man, that sexy air touching him. Like, oh, God. Bass would have lost it. Bass would have never recovered at that moment.
I kind of picture, like...
I'm never watching my cheek again.
So is the hottest thing his beautiful hands fondling her sexy-ass ears?
Yeah. Oh, God.
Is it the...
Can you imagine? Like, that would be the hottest scene in movie history, with her perfect ears and his hands, like him just, like, fondling her ears, just rubbing them.
Just rubbing the lobes.
Giving her wet willies. Dude, the audience would lose it.
Everybody's
like, the hottest scene. It'd give the movie, they'd have to be like, no. It's NC-17.
Yeah.
Like, he just gives her a wet willy. Have you seen his hands and her ears? That's NC-17.
Suddenly, that's only jerk joints. Like, suddenly, everybody's just losing it. Yeah. Everybody's fidgeting in their seats.
You can only
really
go
uncomfortable.
You can only go see The Wise Man's Fears and fucking porn fucking theaters.
So, like the clean version, they have an intermission at this point, so everybody can get themselves together. Yeah. Go outside, walk it off, get the blood flowing throughout the body instead of just, in those organs.
Oh, man. Yeah, that's how it'll probably be. But and then, so she goes and she gets on the lift. She's like, hold on. She cried to the boy who was closing the gate to the lift. I have to catch this one or I'll be late, she said, her face full of pained apology as she stepped past me onto the lift. Come find me. Now, one thing that's interesting there is, it sounds like she's probably going to meet her patron. But what was she up top doing? And who was she meeting? Who was she seeing? Or was she seeing her patron and he was sending her to go meet with someone else for some other reason? Because that would have interesting implications. Because it could be that her patron is, let's say her patron is Cinder. And he sends her up there to talk to Bredon and, learn about the ring game. So she needs to learn that information. So he sends her to Bredon to learn about that. So that could be an explanation for why Bredon talked about, I had to teach someone new to town about the ring game. Mm-hmm. Or it could be that she was meeting with Bredon up there and he's her patron, and then he was sending her out to do something else. I mean, so it's another one that's wide open, but it seems like once we know who her patron is, we'll have a better idea what the fuck was going on, who she's meeting, what exactly is going on in Severin.
So the old bruise fading to hot yellow high on her cheek, is that old to the effect of when Kvothe saw her? Because it doesn't seem like it. It seems like something that would have happened.
Like he hasn't seen her in a long ass time.
Exactly. So that's my point. So she's been getting beat up, which we know that anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah,
because she even says like later on in a handful of chapters when he meets back up with her, she blames that bruise and some other pains falling off the horse.
Yeah, that old excuse.
Yeah.
Instead of falling down the horse was probably a really popular excuse back then for women getting beat up.
Yeah.
Fell off a horse. Yeah, sounds about right.
Yeah, but that is all I got on that chapter.
I wonder if that's part of the reason. Well, I'm not going to go there. I was going to say, I wonder if that's part of the reason why, men don't beat their wives as much anymore. That horse excuse is a good one when people used to ride a lot of horses.
Yeah. I'm not going to go there, but, might as well go there.
Well, it's something Fitz would do. So I'm just going to just wrap that up. Yeah. The only reason I said that is there's a hole here, and that's what Fitz would have said. So I'll credit that quote to him because he loves talking about beating women. So that's him saying it, not me. I'm just, I'm so you have to put things into the book, like Rothfuss puts things into the book that we're thinking. This is something somebody out there is thinking, so I'm just going to throw that in there.
I told you, man. I told you Tim was not wearing a shirt. He's getting real hillbilly up in here.
I put my shirt on before I said that. So
is it a wife beater?
Wouldn't it be great if it was?
Yeah.
But no, it's not. I'm not.
All right. Yep, but that's it.
Yeah, that's all I had on that chapter, though. I'm glad I bit that in.
All right, so 61 is titled Dead Nettle. And this chapter, Kvothe goes back to the mayor's rooms. He makes him some tea and gives him some cod oil liver to drink and checks on the birds and sees how desperately sick the mayor is and starts to realize that the mayor might not make it through the night, that he might be in a very, very bad situation.
Yes, this is where the tension really gets ratcheted up, and we get Kvothe's realization of the big risk that he took that he hadn't really acknowledged prior. Or maybe he hadn't fully realized prior, really.
Yeah, because at first you're just thinking like, okay, well, he's just got to prove that Caudicus is poisoning him, but you don't realize how the mayor might not live through the night. This might be it. And if the mayor does die, Kvothe is screwed.
Yes. Yeah, he's in a very, very bad position if that's what happens.
And I mean, what does he do? Like, even if he escapes out of Severin, he's going to have a price on his head for the rest of his life.
Yeah, and pretty much everybody's seen him, and they're going to say his name, right? So, I mean, because because
Stapes knows who he is.
Knows his name. Stapes knows his name, yeah.
They all do. I mean, his name is not a mystery, and so he's talked to a bunch of people. He's been there for a while, but yeah, so it's a very, very precarious situation for him, but he had not realized it until he goes back and he gives him his medicine. But yeah, I like the fact Stapes was not pleased to see me, but he showed me in with the same bustling efficiency as always, and the mayor is pissed with him about how long it took. Kvothe obviously had to go in a roundabout way, but the mayor is not a patient man. And he's sick, so there's not a lot of patient sick people. Like if you're like, I need medicine, and then someone goes to get you medicine, and then they take their fucking sweet ass time, you're like wanting to fucking murder them with your eyes.
Yeah,
like what the fuck, man? I'm sick, man.
I thought it was interesting that it does say that Stapes, like props him up, kind of covers him up a little bit, and the mayor endured these ministrations stoically. And then said, "Thank you, Stapes," and then he leaves. The fact that he's able to remain stoic, I think, says quite a bit about the mayor.
Yeah, he's obviously a tough ass dude. I mean, he's been getting poisoned for years, and he's just grinning and bearing it. And it's not easy to do.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's my favorite things about these chapters is that, or this one in particular is. The biggest takeaway for me is, Kvothe having to challenge him to drink the cod liver oil. And then, the mayor basically, this shit's fucking gross, and it is fucking gross. It's fucking disgusting. But he treats him. He gets risky with how he treats him, and I love that approach of, well, if he's going to be that way, then challenge him and show you can basically do it. I don't know. Well, I guess we'll get there, but I don't know, not to jump ahead, but
yeah. So and before that, we find out that Caudicus had came and visited him and gave him some more medicine. And then, he's like, did you drink it? If you'd been gone much longer, I would have, and to hell with your fairy stories. And so he talks about, how when Kvothe gives the cod liver oil, he's like, dude, I'll throw that up. He's like, I should be able to help improve matters, your grace. Remember, tonight will be the most difficult. Tomorrow will be bad. After that, all should be well. If I live so long as that, he groused. It was just the petulant grumble of a sick man, but it mirrored my thoughts so precisely that ice ran down my back. Where he starts to realize how dangerous this position he's put himself in is. And
well, and that speaks to that, and in particular what I talked about earlier. Right? Maybe I didn't go into it, but how he does some of his best work throughout the books when he doesn't really think things through. He does something quite heroic when he doesn't really think things through. And he points out here, I hadn't considered that the mayor might die despite my intervention. But when I looked at him now, frail and gray and trembling, I realized the truth. He might not live through the night. So, but he has his plan. So he brings out the flask. I like the little touch there that he's like, brandy? With a little bit of anticipation. Like, because, he wants something sweet. And, I mean, a little bit of alcohol.
I wouldn't really consider brandy sweet.
Well, it compared to, isn't it though? Isn't it kind of sweet? Am I wrong about that?
Maybe it is. It does not in my memory. I don't drink a lot of brandy, but in my memory it doesn't. I don't really think of alcohol as sweet tasting, like actual liquor, like liqueurs. Yeah, but
I don't know. When I've had, say, good rums, it has a good sweet taste. I don't usually like rum because I don't usually have good rum, but I don't think I've ever had good brandy. I've had E&J, and that's maybe the best, and that's not great. But yeah, as far as I can remember, it kind of sweet. But
yeah, maybe it is.
Yeah, give me. That's what he's saying. Like, give me a little taste, bro. Just a little taste.
Get a little nip. Get a little nip.
But instead, it's disgusting as shit. I mean, if you can consider being extraordinarily nauseous to the point where you can't really get anything down, and then you're gonna drink cod liver oil,
yeah. Well, I also like I like where the mayor is when he makes him the tea and he goes to give it to him. The mayor's like, "You first."
Yeah.
And it's pale and grim. He watched me with his sharp gray eyes. He smiled a terrible smile. I hesitated, but only for a moment. To your grace's health. And then Kvothe tastes it, and he's like, yeah, you're right. Tastes like stump water.
Well, dude, the fact that also he's able to smile a terrible smile in the state he's in, it really says a lot about the mayor. That he's menacing, and it seems like at heart he's quite dangerous, and he kind of enjoys it.
And he's making it clear, I'm not sure. Maybe Caudicus isn't trying to kill me. Maybe you are.
Yeah.
And it definitely puts Kvothe in his place as far as where the mayor is concerned. He is not accepting this, as you're definitely doing something good for me. He's to the point where he's like, maybe you're trying to kill me. You drink that shit.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I mean, he's fucking pissed. I mean, he made that clear early on where he's like, hell with your fairy stories. It's all the trust that was there is waning because he's sitting there and he feels like shit. Even though he told him it was going to be bad, but,
yeah,
and give a fuck. He doesn't want to go through this shit.
I like where Kvothe goes through the different things he's worried about. He sees the Sipquicks drinking the medicine, and he's like, I'd worried they might avoid it due to a change in flavor or some natural instinct for self-preservation. I also worried that lead might not be poisonous to Sipquicks. I worried they might take a span to show any ill effects, not mere days. I worried at the mayor's rising temper. I worried at his illness. I worried at the possibility I might be wrong about everything I had guessed. So, like, he's, like, went in very confident, and slowly but surely his confidence is waning, and he's getting more and more worried about what the fuck he got himself into.
Yeah. Yeah, suddenly that's all... I love the way that Rothfuss did that as well. The fact that we're delivered it with Kvothe. You know what I mean? Like, it all comes rushing in this moment where we see exactly what he's seeing with how ill he is and everything else.
And we get another mention of how dope Denner is, because get like what Denner was like, I feel good, really good. Maer's like, how do you feel, Your Grace? Better, he admitted grudgingly. I detected a slight dullness to his speech. Much better.
Yeah, that's dullness to his speech. It sounds like he's got a...
Except that wasn't Denner, like that was Laudanum, but yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like a bit, to me, it sounds a bit like that purple drink.
Yeah, you're all about that purple drink today. He's like texted me about purple drink. He's drinking a purple drink.
Yeah, it's come up a few times. Well, I fucking just read this. Maybe that's why. I don't know.
Wait, there's no mention of purple drink in this book. What are you talking about?
Yeah,
I just read it.
Yeah, it's like, what the fuck? What is it? Codeine and fucking... Yeah, now I can't fucking think of what it is. The technical terms. Starts with P.
I have no idea.
Codeine, promethazine. I mean, that's what it is. The scissor.
Yeah. All right. The gangster one. All this.
I'm the gangster one? I've never had it.
You do podcasts with your shirt off. You'd be the one to know.
It's hot, bro. I don't know what to tell you. I live in the valley, bro.
But yeah, so he gives the Maer the cod liver oil, and the Maer is like, he's taking little dainty sips. He's like, if you're going to sip it, we'll be here all evening. 2 solid swallows, the kind sailors use to drink cheap whiskey. He scowled. Don't speak to me as if I were a child. Then act the part of a man. That is another one where it's like, man, it's fucking ballsy. And he said, I said harshly, stunning him to silence. 2 swallows every 4 hours. That whole flask should be finished by tomorrow. His gray eyes narrowed dangerously. I would remind you of who you were speaking to. I'm speaking to a sick man who will not take his medicine, I said levelly. Anger smoldered behind his laudanum-dulled eyes. A pint of fish oil is not medicine, he hissed. It is a malicious and unreasonable request. It can't be done. I fixed him with my best withering stare and took the flask out of his hands. Without looking away, I drank the whole thing down, swallow after swallow of the oil past my gullet as I held the Mayor's eyes. I watched his face shift from angry to disgusted, then finally settling into an expression of muted, sickened awe. I upended the flask, ran my finger around the inside of it, and licked it clean. Gross.
Yeah. Gross. Effective.
Yeah. So he gives it back to him, and he took it and takes 2 good swallows. And he's like, pride is always a better lever against the nobility than reason.
It's interesting too. I mean, this is so applicable to real life. I mean, things that you think is like, no fucking way. As soon as you see somebody do it, you're like, all right, yeah, I can do that. You know what I mean? As soon as you like, and especially if it's someone you know can do it, then you're like, oh, I can do this shit.
Yeah, I mean, it's like one of your dudes calling you a pussy. I'm like, damn it. Now I feel like I gotta do this.
That's got me to do a lot of things. A lot of things. Yeah. Some good, many bad, but it's got me to do a lot of things. I got that stupid, ridiculous, what is it? The Michael J. Fox realism adapted movie. Teen Wolf. No. Sorry, the classic where he.
Back to the Future.
Back to the Future. Yeah. When he don't call me yellow or something.
Oh
like
yeah,
that.
Don't call me a chicken. You chicken?
Yeah. Yeah, and they do like a slow fucking zoom in, like he fucking Dirty Harry all of a sudden.
Yeah,
it's pretty fun.
Yeah,
but I got a
Michael J. Fox with his 5'1" badass self.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, then so he and I like where you get the complexity of the Maer. Like he's testing him, he's doubting him, he's questioning him, he's making him drink the tea first, like that he might be poisoning him. But then when he goes to give back the rings, he began to reach out for it, then stop. Keep it for now. You've earned that much, I imagine. And so he's still, Kvothe is he he's dancing on that knife's edge where the Maer kind of, sort of thinks that he might be telling the truth. He kind of believes him, but he also thinks he might just be wrong, or he might be trying to manipulate him. So, but he does have enough faith in him where he gives him this gesture. And so he's not like a complete hard ass or, obstinate or anything along those lines.
He's realistic to a degree.
Yeah, he's just looking at many different angles.
Well, and it also speaks to the complexity of their situation at this point. It also shows the utility of these rings, right? I mean, it's this little ranking system. And, or maybe that's not the right word, but it's basically, in this situation, it's literally a utility of showing I trust you a little bit more. We're making a little bit of progress here.
Yeah, so constantly shows like the gamesmanship, with the rings and how much is said without saying anything, just by what type of ring they give you, when they give you a ring, do they tell you to keep it, do they take it back? Like there's a lot of gamesmanship to the rings. And then when he goes out, Stapes was waiting in the outer rooms. I mentioned to him that the Maer was sleeping, and I told him not to toss out the tea in the pot, as His Grace would be wanting it when he woke up. As I left, the look Stapes gave me was not merely chilly, as it had been before. It was hateful, practically venomous. Only after he closed the door behind me did I realize what this must look like to him. He had assumed I was taking advantage of the Maer in his time of weakness. And then I like this bringing up like one of the plays that they mention a lot in Severin with Dead Nettle, where he's like, there are a great many such people in the world, traveling physicians with no qualms about preying on the fears of the desperately ill. The best example of this is Dead Nettle, the potion seller in 3 pennies for wishing, easily one of the most despised characters in all drama. There's no audience that doesn't cheer when Dead Nettle gets pilloried in the 4th act. With that in mind, I began to dwell on how fragile and gray the Maer had looked. Living in Tarpean, I had seen healthy young men killed by Ophalum withdrawal, and the Maer was neither young nor healthy. So and that's another point that brings up here. It's not even that he's worried about him dying from the lead poisoning. He's worried about him dying from his drug addiction.
Yeah, and the fact that he's already basically has pre-existing conditions, right? I mean, with the fact that his body's already frail and poisoned. You add on top of that a drug-addled state and trying to, go cold turkey, basically. Problematic, to say the least.
Yeah, and so, he brings up the fact that, if he dies, who's going to be blamed? It's not going to be Caudicus, it's not going to be Stape. And then with all the shit Stapes is seeing him do right now, all the fingers are going to point directly at him. Mm. He's going to be looked at as either he fucked shit up or he intentionally killed him, and he's going down. And the Maer's surviving. His fate is on Kvothe's fate is on the line, that the Maer needs to survive.
Well, the way he paints the picture here, it becomes very clear if you just look at situationally and from the perspective of Caudicus and Stapes, the people in his castle palace. Natural progression would be, well, this dude did it. Dude came, all of a sudden, Maer's, sick as shit. This guy's alone with him in the rooms. I don't know what he's doing, but he did something. Now he's dead. If that was to happen, naturally, you would have to blame Kvothe. So yeah, it's all riding on him surviving at this point.
Yeah, and so that's pretty much it for me on that chapter. I don't.
Well, it really closes in a really quaint image where he's basically thinking about he either lives and I get to live, or he dies and I'm totally fucked. So he's making his way back, thinking of these things, and then he stops to open the window and puke up a pint of cod liver oil.
Yeah, it's a pleasant image. I mean, that's one like I really I hope that that's in the movie. Like, I hope that doesn't get cut out. Like, I definitely want to see that, like, close-up image.
Not just like puking up fish oil. So it's all, it basically coats everything. It's so fucking gross, man. It's bad enough to like vomit, but to vomit and then have the taste of basically oil.
I can't even imagine like just drinking like a pint of olive oil. Be like, no, I'm not doing that.
And olive oil tastes great.
Yeah, that's a lot, man. A pint? That's a fucking lot.
Yeah, that's a heavy task, that's for sure.
Yeah, I'm with the mayor on that. Like, if I saw someone drink a pint,
can you imagine like sitting
cod liver oil? Like, ugh,
sitting in your stomach.
Yeah,
like what I'm thinking. Like I've bonged like multiple beers in a row in the past. Like even bonged a 40, which was absurd. It was one of those situations like you can't do it, and just like having that all sit in your stomach, but like oil, man, yeah, that'd be. That's such a weird. Yeah, that's strange.
Yeah, that's a rough one.
Yeah,
that's a rough one. I would not do that.
What are you, chicken?
Yep, I am. I'm 100% chicken. But yeah, so then we get chapter 62, titled Crisis, and he goes back into Severn Low, looks for Denna, gets more medicine for the mayor, goes back to his rooms, and then he meets with Bredon, who gives him some more information about the mayor and about, about his situation and what's going on. And then he eventually gets called by the mayor to go back and get his medicine from Caudicus, has his interaction with him, gets the medicine, kind of spies on him a little bit, and then it leaves with the mayor is feeling a little better, better than he has in a long time, but he still does not trust Kvothe.
Yeah, the beginning here, how it kind of starts out, he ate a hot breakfast of eggs and potatoes while waiting for the apothecary to open. It does just feed towards like it's kind of nice. I mean, Kvothe having friends in high places here. It's paying off for him.
Yeah,
he's just chilling, getting breakfast, like because of what we've seen him live through. He's definitely a different situation at this point. It's just those little things, man, because of what's been laid out prior. I mean, in so many stories, that wouldn't mean anything. It wouldn't mean much. But in this, it definitely has some meaning.
Yeah, so he's burning through the mayor's money that he just got. Like he's fucking emptying his pocket. Like even given in the previous chapter we didn't mention, but he gives like a generous tip to the people who are doing a play. It's like, it's easy to be generous when it's not your money.
Makes sense. Yeah.
But yeah, he blows through that, and then so he's like, so since I needed to keep a normal face on things, I remained in my room waiting for the mayor to send for me. I sent my card and ring to Bredon, and soon he was sitting across from me, thrashing me at tack and telling stories. So the mayor had him hung in a gibbet right alongside the eastern gate, hung here for days, howling and cursing, saying he was innocent, saying it wasn't right and how he wanted a trial. I couldn't quite bring myself to believe it. A gibbet? Bredon nodded seriously. An actual iron gibbet. Who knows where he managed to find one in this day and age? It was like something out of a play.
That's really, gangster. This gives us how gangster the mayor will be. And
it really, like the first time you're going through this, then it's not only like this dude's gangster, then you think back to the times this guy lost his temper with Kvothe, and you're like, whoa. Yeah, this is a dangerous situation with this guy. You better fucking mind your P's and Q's around him.
Well, and especially with where Kvothe is now. I mean, he's got a lot riding on this, He goes the wrong way, he's going to be stuck in a freaking savage cage, hung up like a bird in a cage, basically. Exposed to the elements. Sounds pretty brutal.
Yeah, and so this is one of the parts that I've always found very interesting. We obviously talked about it when we went through the Master Ash theory, but when he's like, Kvothe says, I can't figure out where Caudicus ranks, and Bredon's like, that's not that terribly surprising. The giving and receiving of rings is a lot like tack. On the face of it, the rules are simple. In execution, they become quite complicated. And then it says he clicked down a stone, his dark eyes crinkling with amusement. In fact, the other day I was explaining the intricacies of the custom to a foreigner not familiar with such things. So that has to be Denna. Otherwise, why is it there? It makes no fucking sense for that line to be there. And the fact that it's his eyes, his dark eyes crinkling with amusement. Now, you could take that in multiple ways. Rothfuss, again, he writes these things where you can interpret it in multiple ways. It could be that his dark eyes were crinkling because of the move he just made. And he's, setting them up for a trap. But it's not mentioned anything else about the game as far as that goes. That move is not brought up. It's just there's amusement when he brought up the fact that he's introducing the ring custom to a foreigner. Denna's in town. We just saw her at the end of the last chapter, and at the beginning of this one, Bredon is saying he's teaching this custom to a foreigner. She was just up at Severin High, and then right after that, Bredon is talking about teaching the custom.
When I read it, I took it as he was joking about he just explained this to Kvothe.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, it could. Yeah, you could take it that way too. I don't think that's why. I think he knows that because I do think Bredon is Master Ash. I think she knows Kvothe. I think he knows who Kvothe is, and I think that's why he's smiling, because he knows the inside joke that I'm her fucking patron. And oh, by the way, I just taught this thing to a foreigner, when he's talking about Denna, and he knows very well that Kvothe knows Denna.
So it's an inside joke for himself.
Yeah. Which fits with his character as this guy that's playing a fucking beautiful game.
Yeah.
And he likes the, setting traps that, the other person sees, and those kind of things, makes it even better, and those kind of things. So like, this is exactly his personality.
He says that literally. Yeah, he literally says that about knowing someone's coming in with a plan and then foiling their plan altogether.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it fits his personality perfectly. And it does not make a lot of sense. The fact that Denna was just there and he's talking about he was teaching a foreigner the ring game does not make any sense if that is not Bredon teaching Denna. That does not necessarily mean Bredon is Master Ash. Mm-hmm. It's just it is a clue that hints towards it, but it could also be that Cinder is Master Ash, and Cinder sent her to meet with Bredon, and Bredon is working, for the Chandrian, or he's a free agent that different groups rely on. That he's still in the bigger picture, he's still involved in the bigger game, but he's not necessarily your patron. So it could still go either way. It doesn't solidify one way or another. But again, the fact that these kind of clues are in there to say that it can't be Bredon, or it can't be Master Ash, or it can't be Cinder, I think is ridiculous, because Rothfuss intentionally wrote it where he could go in either direction.
Mm-hmm. Speaking to Bredon being Master Ash, he does say in the next paragraph, sometimes a person is actually more than one person, technically speaking.
Yeah.
So then he does go into the Earl and, the Viscount, and how, they can be two different entities and political entities. But again, that could be a wink that Bredon could be Master Ash. It just ties in nicely. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's everything about Bredon fits with Master Ash. There's nothing you can point to where you can say this rules him out. And all these different clues point towards him being Master Ash. There's also clues that point towards Cinder being Master Ash. Again, it could be either or, but it is not written in a clear way where one of them is 100% ruled out. And there's so many clues that lead you to guess that either of them could be Master Ash. Like, to be 100% certain one way or the other, like Rothfuss is not boxed into a corner
Mm-hmm.
at all. Even if he had decided in book 2 who Master Ash was going to be, he could completely change his mind in book 3 and go in a completely different direction if he thought it was going to be more interesting.
Yeah, he's definitely left him that opening.
Yeah, so there's no way we can 100% certify who is. It's just that it could be, it's got to be one of those two, but it could be either or. But these are strong fucking clues towards Bredon. And the only reason I prefer it over Cinder is I just think it would be more interesting. But, Rothfuss, obviously, he knows what he's doing. So if he wants to make it Cinder, I'm sure he's going to come up with an interesting, make it interesting, the reveal.
Yeah, I love that it does seem to be one of the two. And I agree with you. I think and we talked this out, I don't remember what episode, but the Bredon, the story about either or and the evidence between the two, it does seem to be more interesting that it would be Bredon because of the depth that it brings, because of the dynamic and how that creates a greater complexity between him and Kvothe. When Kvothe would see the reveal,
yeah,
and realize it, rather than just with Cinder, which it might as well be Ambrose at that point. You know what I mean? Like where it'd just be infuriating.
Yeah,
and that would deepen his infuriation, which he already has plenty of reason for.
Yeah,
it's more complex.
Yeah, like
Bredon,
he's going in like that. That's what I find interesting about it is like he's going in like, I hate Master Ash. I want to murder this dude. If he sees his Cinder, he's just gonna act.
Yeah,
he's not gonna be fucking thrown. You could have him like he could be thrown off in the fact that it's Cinder, and now he's thinking of going in. I'm gonna kill her patron, and then he sees it's Cinder, and then he's having flashbacks of Cinder laughing about killing his parents, and that's what throws him off. But I think with Bredon, to me, it's just more interesting if he's going in, I'm gonna kill this dude, and then he sees like, oh shit, this is a dude I like and respect, who's nice to me, who did these things for me. Like, what the fuck is going on?
With Cinder, it'd be 2 birds, 1 stone. I mean, he already wants to kill Cinder.
Yeah,
and if he's also Master Ash, okay, now I also want to kill Master Ash. So great.
Yeah,
like it's more in the same direction. With Bredon, it completely, it would put him on his heels, at least to some degree. Where he'd have to like consider, well, geez, what the fuck? And that's the great reveal that a character needs to have. Where it's more interesting.
Yeah, I agree. And then we learn more about Stapes here. He says, but he's just a manservant, isn't he? Well, Bredon said slowly, he is that, but he's hardly just a manservant. His family is quite old, but he has no title of his own. Technically, he ranks no higher than a cook, but he owns substantial lands. He has money, and he is the mayor's manservant. They've known each other since they were boys. Everyone knows he has Alvaron's ears. Bredon's dark eyes peered at him. Who would dare insult such a man with an iron ring? Go to his room and you will see the truth. There is nothing in his bowl but gold. So yeah, the Stapes is high up there. And again, that is amping up the tension between, Kvothe and the situation he's in with Stapes, who is very high up. Caudicus is very high up, and he appears to be on the opposite side of them. In between the Maer.
He's a dude from out of town.
Yeah.
Who doesn't rank anywhere.
Yeah. So it's a very dangerous situation. And then there's another interesting part where he says, Bredon excused himself shortly after the game, claiming a prior engagement. It lends more mystery to Bredon just saying that. Like, because you could just say, and then Bredon left, and then, someone showed up hours later. You don't have to be like claiming a prior engagement. You don't have to add that line in. Like, what's this prior engagement? And with Denna being there, it hints that would be a perfect explanation for why he put claiming a prior engagement is Rothfuss was writing that he's going to meet Denna, and we're just not learning about what they're meeting about.
They have a business meeting for the Jack in the Box. They got stuff to take care of. Clearly.
Yeah. It's a huge manager meeting. Like they probably called in, all the
the branch managers,
night shift managers, and they're having a huge meeting. He's just not happy with the amount of ice that they're putting in the cups. They are not filling it to the top, and they're just wasting Coke.
They have Coke, huh? Interesting.
Yeah, they just fill up ice with just cocaine and a 20
you meant
liter.
that type of Coke. Jesus, wow.
20 ounce liters.
A lot of drugs
filled
in
with
this
it.
episode.
Yeah.
How's that work? Why would you want that on ice? Wouldn't that clump things up?
Yeah.
Okay, some problems?
Yeah, it's weird. They don't know how to do it yet.
They're still working. Well, that's why they're having the meeting. Right?
Yeah, they're trying to figure it out. Like, everybody likes it, but they don't like the delivery method.
Like, why is this in a cup with ice? What I have to clean all
They're
this
like,
up?
man, I eat one ice cube and I'm fucked up. It's too much. It's just too much.
Well, yeah, they need to cut costs. So yeah. Clearly, problems.
But
there.
So
we get Kvothe's old sleeping mind coming in here in a pretty cool, subtle way, right?
Oh yeah, where he's
with him doing his little mixtape here.
Yeah, he's making a mixtape for the Maer. He's playing Dead Nettle's Lament. Forced himself to stop, and then he's like, before I knew it, I found myself playing Leave the Town Tinker. Only then did I realize what my hands were trying to tell me. If the Maer was still alive, he would have called for me by now. I let the flute fall silent and began to think very quickly. I needed to leave. Now. Stapes has seen me bring medicine to the Maer. I could even be accused of tampering with the vial I had brought from Caudicus' room. Slow fear began to knot in my gut as I realized the helplessness of my situation. I didn't know the Mayor's estates well enough to attempt a clever escape. So yeah, then that ramps up the tension because then someone starts banging on the door and he gets the card and there's only just one word written on it immediately. But at least he knows at that point the Mayor's not dead. But yeah, when the banging on the door happens, then he's like, oh shit, I'm screwed. Yeah. He's dead.
Yeah, it was, what was it? It was basically, the knock on the door was louder than usual, more forceful than that of an errand boy. So he's like, dude, what guards? I froze in my seat. Should I answer the door? Should I duck out the window? And then, then it's more urgent. So it's like, you start to get, it's not for him. The Mayor may be fucking dying right now.
Yeah. Yeah, and then he sees Stapes is looking ragged, and he goes into, the Mayor's bedroom, and there's a bunch of celis flowers, and their delicate smell was almost enough to cover the odors they'd been brought in to conceal. See, that's where he's just like a master at keeping this mystery alive, because that sounds like it was there to cover up the smell of shit, but he doesn't mention that. He's just so subtle. He's just so subtle where he just keeps the mystery alive and you just can never figure out, is there bathroom breaks?
It's his favorite. I think it's his favorite mystery to have weaved through these books. Because we get all these hints. We get all these hints of Chronicler zipping up his pants, and like the second, zip, there's no zipper, but whatever the fuck it was, however he put it.
Yeah, no, there's zippers. They're all using
zippers. The second chapter. But it's a mystery that still will live on.
Yeah, and so he tries to feel out the Mayor. He sees him, he looks a little better, but he's like, how do you feel? I asked in a more serious tone. He gave me a long look that let me know he did not approve of my addressing him so casually, then said, old. I feel old and weak. But for all that, I feel better than I have in several days. A little pain and I'm mightily tired, but I feel clean. I think I've passed the crisis. And then he nods and he's like, you'll know, my birds are doing well, he said in an overly casual tone. I looked through the doorway and saw the Sipquicks darting about in their gilded cage, lively as ever. I felt a chill at the implication of his comment. He still didn't believe Caudicus was poisoning him.
Yeah, that's, so again, there's a delicate balance of the tension because they're talking they're dancing around things. There's little suggestions between the two of them, which Kvothe didn't have much of a choice there. Like, he has to play off of the Mayor, but yeah, he's making it pretty clear.
I like these chapters, like from 61 to 64, because you just get you're just in a situation where Kvothe is just on a knife's edge where
It's
first time you're going through it, you
Yeah.
don't know what's going to happen. I mean, he just keeps the tension ratcheted up for
Well, in the
3-4 straight chapters.
And with the sip quicks as well, man, it's such a great thing element to add into it, where it's like, dude, what the fuck's going on with these fucking things?
Yeah,
like,
why
are they
aren't
just
they dying?
impervious? Yeah, they're just impervious to this. Is he miscalculated? There's something about this particular type of bird. It's all these things are kind of in the back of your mind until we get there. But it's a great element.
And the mayor gives plausible reasons why he would doubt Kvothe, even though he does feel better after.
Yeah, he's like,
Kvothe
this is always
helped
how it
him
goes.
out. And he's like, this is how it goes, man. Sometimes I get sick, and then I get better, and then I'm fucking good for months. And Caudicus goes and dips out, and he does a lot of skipping, and he just has a good old time.
Yeah, gallivanting. Yeah, gallivanting. There's a lot of skipping. I'm picturing Caudicus's cloak. I don't even know if he wears a cloak, but
He does not wear
billowing up.
He's not a nerd.
Yeah, but he's gallivanting. So that's what you picture, a cape of some sort.
I just picture like he's just skipping and swinging his robes, out with his legs, showing some lower leg, picking up some ladies.
What? So strange image.
But yeah, so then he's told to go get the medicine from the mayor, or from Caudicus, and Caudicus is so dismissive of Kvothe in the beginning. He's like, "Oh, our fledgling historian." Like, dude, like, all right, now I'm gonna be like, all right, well, go fuck yourself, man. Now I already thought you were poisoning the mayor. Now you're just a dick.
Well, what's funny about that too is it's like it's not even real. He's not a historian. He's playing that he's a historian, and also kind of playing that he's, kind of a simpleton to a degree. So it's effective. But yeah, if it were me, I'd still
historian. Be. Oh, look, it's Crocodile Dundee. Fucking doesn't know the fucking difference between a crocodile and an alligator.
I was gonna say it's one of those things that makes me realize I don't think I'd be a very good actor, because even playing a role, if I walked in, I'd be like, "Fuck you, dude!" I know I'm putting on an act here, but yeah, go fuck yourself, bro.
You fucking know what an alligator is. Like,
still take it personally. Yeah,
but yeah, then I like the you get the. He's like, if you'll excuse me for a moment, I'll be right back. So you get more of the gamesmanship with the rings. He's leaving Kvothe in there to look at the rings and be able to take his back graciously. He's like, both my gold ring and Alvaron's iron one sat on a small tray on the table. I reclaimed them, taking note of this rather graceful way of wordlessly offering the return of the ring. So he's learning the game. He's learning, like, as he's there more, he's learning kind of what this game is. It's a ridiculous game, but it's interesting.
Well, I mean, in a minute ago, I saw the utility in it, where there's that communication between Kvothe and the mayor. It seems a little bit odd to me. Like, it's cool that he takes Alvaron's ring. Is that because he's kind of playing the servant here?
The mayor gave him his ring to go show Caudicus.
Oh, okay, got it.
Yeah,
all right.
Yeah, so he's bringing both back, and then I like that it's brought up later when he's looking at the Caudicus's rings a later time, where he's like, you could figure out a guy's place in court by kind of triangulating what position he is based on what types of rings he's got from what people. So it's a game where you can see why it would exist in their stupid world, in their absurd, political world.
Well, and it also
you can see the utility
he's going to have. It also makes sense he's going to have why he'd have, like, people following him around when he goes outside. It's like, this is their world. This is what they're obsessed with, apparently. Yeah. Which shows you that they have a lot of wealth here, because it's a lot of people sitting on their ass, and it's all about posturing and politics.
Yeah, and you see, like, when he's looking around this room, he's like, sees the wealth. He's like, dude, why would this dude? He's got everything. See, I mean, this is like, he might as well be at the university. Like, he's got everything he could possibly want. Why is this guy doing this? And then he's like, a thought occurred to me. Perhaps I could get the native Ventus superstition to work to my advantage. If Caudicus was a serious scholar, even half as superstitious as native Vent, he might know something about the Chandrian. Best of all, since I was playing the dim-witted lordling, I didn't need to worry about my damaging my reputation. See anything you're interested in? I turned, shaking my head. Not particularly, I said. Do you know anything about the Chandrian? Very subtle. He just immediately is like, no, not really. Do you know anything about the Chandrian? Chandrian. Yeah, and then Caudicus looked at me blankly for a moment, then burst out laughing. I know they're not going to come into your room at night and steal you out of your bed, he said, wiggling his fingers at me the way you teased a child. You don't study mythology, then? I asked, fighting down a wave of disappointment at his reaction. It's hardly mythology. One could barely even stoop to call that folklore. It's superstitious bunk, and I don't waste my time with it. No serious scholar would. So, when he says that, I don't take him as trying to push Kvothe off the subject. Mm-hmm. It seems to me that he thinks is nonsense. So those kind of things give me hesitation to say that he is a member of the Emir. Maybe he's trying to become a member of the Emir, and this is what he's got to do, poison the Maer to get in with them, to join them. Or has nothing to do with the Emir at all, and it's King Roderick or something like that, or the Chandrian or something. But if it's the Chandrian, it doesn't seem like he knows it's the Chandrian. So whoever it is, he's not. It does not seem that he is deeply knowledgeable about what the fuck is really going on.
Well, that's what's so strange about it, because
it makes him seem like he's a tool of someone else.
Well, that's what I mean. It seems, that's what makes it so strange to me, that he's a tool, yet Kvothe makes the point, how he's poisoning the Maer is very careful. Like, it's not an accident that he's doing it the way he's doing it. It's very, very careful to be able to keep him alive and keep him weak. And the way he's doing it is
he's still an arcanist. He's very knowledgeable, so he's a very good tool. But it does not seem he understands what is going on big picture in the world.
That's strange to me, because then it's like, so what's the motivating factor if it's not a bigger picture sort of situation? Of course, we don't know. It could be.
You think it's got to be power or brought into a secret community where, like, we'll teach you what's really going on in the world. Like, you can be brought into our secret society, that type of thing, where I can see it's like he's trying to get admittance to the Emir, or someone is hiring him, like the King Roderick, and he's trying to get, replace the Maer, that kind of thing, to become like the seat of power in that area. But yeah, you'd think it's got to be like some type of power type of situation, because otherwise he's got plenty. He's got what he needs. He's got more than enough.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, and then he brings up, the stuff on the Lackless family. He's like, in case you might be well served in considering their name. He adjusted an alcohol lamp underneath a simmering glass of alembic in the midst of an impressive array of copper tubing. Whatever he was distilling, I guessed it wasn't peach brandy. You see, names can tell you a great deal about a thing. I grinned at that, then fought, to smother the expression. You don't say. Oh yes, you see, names are sometimes based on other older names. The older the name, the closer it lies to the truth. Lackless is a relatively new name for the family, not much more than 600 years old. For once I didn't have to feign amazement. 600 years old is new? The Lackless family is old. He stopped his pacing and settled down into a threadbare armchair. Much older than the House of Alvaron. 1,000 years ago, the Lackless family enjoyed a power at least as great as Alvaron's. Pieces of what are now Ventus, Modag, and a large portion of the small kingdoms were all Lackless lands at one. What was their name before that, I asked. He pulled down a thick book and flipped its pages impatiently. Here it is. The family was called Leoklos, or Loklos, or Leolos. They all translate the same, Lackless. Spelling was rather less important in those days. What days were those? I asked. He consulted the book again about 900 years ago, but I've seen other histories that mention the Leoklos 1,000 years before the fall of Ator. I only think the reason I think he makes a point of how old the Lackless family is, because it's not important to that Kvothe is Lackless. I think it's only important if their lineage goes all the way back to like an Ajax or Haliax or Lyra. It's got to be something like that, because why does he put so much into the fact that the Lockless door and their name was Lockless? They go further back than everybody, and they used to control parts of Modeg and this and that, and like it's so heavy-handed that they go so far back. The only thing the story deals with that goes that far back is the immortal creatures, the creation war, and so it's got to be that they are. I cannot imagine a scenario where the Lackless family has nothing to do with either Ajax, Haliax, or Lyra, or all three of them.
It definitely insinuates that they play a big part in where the world is now and what is going to happen. I mean, the box, the door, all that stuff looms very large in the overall arc of the story. Then you also have Kavothe's bloodline and, the importance of names. I mean, it's funny to me in a way that this is coming from Caudicus, right? Because he's not like a stoolie, but he is being used in some way, but yet he's delivering this important information, and he's delivering in a way that seems very consistent with Rothfuss's message, right? Or the message of those knowledgeable of this world. So maybe he's some good capability, some bad in terms of Caudicus, but I just find that interesting. It's coming from him because there's power in names. I mean, that puts him up with a Loden.
Yeah.
Right? In terms of what he's talking about in Lauren.
And it's also the fact that, what he is poisoning the Maer. And when we look at the Lackless poems and that you might need a Lackless male heir to open the doors of stone, it lends more credence towards him being recruited by the Amir or part of the Amir. This is another one that lends towards the Amir, and that if he was poisoning the Maer to prevent him from having a Lackless heir, it would make sense that he knows all this shit about the Lackless family. And the fact that the other aspect of that is the fact that he's spilling the beans on all this shit, talking about the Lackless door, talking about how far they go back, all this kind of information, that he's just fucking gossiping, like an idiot about all this shit, makes you think that he's a tool of Amir, that he's not part of Amir, that they are using him or utilizing him, some aspect of that. And then that's why I go to, like, what would he get out of it? And it could be that he's trying to become a part of the Amir, and he's just a jackass, and they would have no intention of bringing him in because Stu can't even fucking keep a secret, about, a family that he might be there to prevent from having an heir. He's just spilling the beans to some kid.
Yeah, it seems like that would be pretty poor judgment on their part, unless the intention is that he does this. Unless the intention is he feeds this information.
And from their perspective, Kvothe doesn't get anything out of this. He doesn't learn anything. It may be a piece to the puzzle later on when he gets more information. He figures out that Natalia Lackless is his mom. But at this point, like, this is all just going in one ear and out the other. So it's not like this is such dangerous information that if he says it, that anybody who hears it is going to pick up on it, because we don't even know. I mean, we're speculating, trying to figure it out. So, I mean, it's not that dangerous of information, but I think like someone like Lauren, who I think is a member of the Mirror, he's not saying this shit. He's not spilling the beans. He's not saying any of this. He's keeping everything close to his vest because I think he's part of the Maer, and he knows fucking hold your cards close to your vest. Whereas this guy, I think is more being utilized by the Maer, and he just doesn't get it.
So remind me, Kavoth's dream that he has, where the person who stayed with the troop. I don't remember if he was blood relation in some way, but was his name Lacklith?
Lacklith, yeah, something like that. Lacklin or Lacklith, I can't remember off the top of my head. But yeah, it makes me think that and we know Natalia Lacklith, so it's almost surely a broken branch of her family that came to visit her.
Yeah, I was gonna say I couldn't remember the details, and I thought it was left a little bit vague in terms of what the connection was to Kvothe. If I remember right, he was very young, and when this person visited, yet he's here in the dream, and he's taking around and giving us all this information about how he's gonna survive, basically. But we get that here. We literally get Lacklith. In the south, they became Lackliths, who slowly spiraled into obscurity, and then the same with the Cape Sane,
and Modeg. The largest piece of the family was here in Ventus, except Ventus didn't exist back then. Closed the book and held it out to me. You can borrow it if you'd like. Thank you. I took the book. You're too kind. So there's broken pieces of this family all over the fucking place. You got some in the south. You got some in Modeg. I mean, they're all over the fucking place.
Yeah, so that also speaks to how far back they go, obviously.
Yeah, and when you think about like that, this family is dealing in bad luck and shit, it would make sense that if that they're dealing with bad luck because Maer is fucking with them, trying to fucking stop them, kill them off or something. Something's going on with this family.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, the fact that they fell on bad luck, and that's kind of what they're known for.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's an important point, right? I mean, to consider about, where's that bad luck coming from?
Is it an outside force, or is it, something else? Is it magical? Is it something to do with that, Iax was called luckless or something like that, and, it's just being part of his heritage? Or is it, it's not bad luck, it's people are fucking with you?
Yeah, they did something that got them cursed, right? Something within that time. I mean, there's plenty that could be speculated at.
Yeah. Here's a part that doesn't make any sense to me. He's like, are you sure I can't interest you in a few stories from other families? He asked, walking over to a work table. I wintered with the Jackas family not long ago. The Baron is widower, quite wealthy and somewhat eccentric. He raised both eyebrows at me, his eyes wide with implied scandal. I'm sure I could remember a few interesting things if I were assured anonymity. I was tempted to break character for that, but instead I shook my head. Perhaps when I'm done working on the Lackless section, I said with all the self-importance of someone devoted to a truly useless project. My research is quite delicate. I don't want to get it tangled up in my head. Like, get the fuck out of here. What are you talking about? You just brought up the fucking Jackas family. You're talking about, like, your mortal fucking enemy. This guy is fucking poking your fucking, sticking a stick in your fucking wheel. Like, the whole reason you had to leave the university is because of this kid. You get some, like, juicy gossip that this guy's willing to spill on it. You can't fucking take 30 seconds to fucking, like, all right,
man,
fucking tell me.
This is your mortal enemy.
Even if I was like, I don't have time for it right now, write that shit down. Fucking send it to my rooms. Or if you can't write it down, like, give me the 60-second elevator speech. I just want, like, but realistically, I'm going to be like, all right, let me pull up a seat and tell me everything you know about this family.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I guess what you're getting here by him not doing this is he's growing up. He's maturing, I guess.
No, he's being ridiculous.
I was going to say, this is extraordinarily useful information that he's going to be able to wield. And if nothing else, he's interested. But the fact that he's going, I mean, in his mind, he's going back to
all of a sudden, he's like, oh, I'm so, but it's like, dude, you were like splitting his pants. Like fucking that long ago. Not even a year ago. Like, so you have not grown up that much. You're not above that.
No, I mean I agree with you, but yeah, when you read it, the fact that he doesn't, it's suggesting that I guess he's very serious this time around. Yeah, again, it's hard to believe, man. It's hard to believe he wouldn't just be like, "Oh, really? Okay, all right, you got me now. What? Please tell me."
And it's not like he just leaves the room right after that. He's still watching him make the medicine. It's like, well, yeah, go ahead and like talk while you're working.
Which he does.
You're not even leaving. Like, I mean, like it's not like you're like, oh, I'm already out the door and I got to give the medicine before he dies. You know, I got to get to him. Like, it's like you're chilling there. Like, let the fucking dude talk.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just, it's one of the only times where, like, I get really aggravated with Kvothe because I'm like, dude, I want to punch you in the face for telling him not to tell that story. Like, that's a dick move. I really want to know exactly all the dirty details.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and he teases it even a little bit more where he's like quite wealthy and somewhat eccentric.
Yeah.
That's just,
we get a little piece about his sister, but, and like one of the written notes, but like, come on, man. No, this guy's ready to fucking dish and he's like super in a high echelon spot. He's going to have some good fucking information for you. Like, no, man, that's a jerk move.
Well, and so good that he's like, this is his new juicy information that he's looking to share.
Yeah.
And Kvothe
like, how can you call him a Mary Sue when he fucks up so bad in this situation?
Yeah, it's I get that's a good example as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, and so then he watches him go through the steps, and we get a little piece where he's like he's talking to him. And he's like, there was a rumor of highwaymen on the King's Road to the north, and again, he's even still gossiping. Like, why did he stop him from gossiping about that? He still listened to him. It just makes no sense. But there was a rumor.
I was going to mention, he does say mixing a medicine like this was closer to following a recipe than anything.
Yeah.
So he was like, it's not really chemistry, it's not alchemy. So it's like he's following a recipe, which goes back to what we were saying before. And he considers it here where, and that's interesting about what Rothfuss does, because he goes as far as saying, well, maybe he doesn't know what he's doing. And then he realizes, oh, he's an Arcanist. He knows exactly what he's doing.
Yeah.
Plus, considering he's poisoning him without killing him, and he's giving him just like a delicate right amount.
Yeah.
Which made me think about the control that like Ari shows, and not Ari, Devi shows, and the control of being able to really delicately select how much you use your sympathy for. I know this isn't sympathy, but the point being, what he's doing is delicate and it's difficult. Yet first he says it's literally like he's just following a recipe.
Yeah. Yeah, it gives reasons to doubt, but then ultimately, Kavothe's right. He is doing it, and we know for certain he's doing it by the end.
No.
But and so he's like, there was a rumor of highwaymen on the King's Road to the north, but there were always rumors of bandits, so that was nothing new. Just giving a little bit of a prelude to him fighting the bandits later on. And he's like, I don't care one whit for gossip, but I can fake interest when I must. Just total horse shit. What are you talking about? Like, you live for gossip. Your whole reputation is built off of your love for gossip. You go sit in bars and just listen to people talk about you. You don't like listening about other people. You're very self-centered with your gossip, but you love gossip, dude.
Well, no, and then again, this page in particular is a little bit frustrating because of that, but especially the turn your back on the Jackus family story. Like, seriously, bro, like acting as if like you're above it or you're not interested is absurd.
It's especially when he listens to other gossip after it. Like he stops of all you're going to listen to just random gossip about you that you don't care about. And you piss away the opportunity to hear about gossip you would really be interested in?
Well, you don't have to act.
But
a little bit strange.
And then he's like, all the while I watch Caudicus for some telltale sign, some whisper of nervousness, a bead of sweat, a moment's hesitation, but there was nothing. Not the slightest indication he was preparing a poison for the Maer. He was perfectly comfortable, utterly at ease. Was it possible he was poisoning the Maer by accident? Impossible. Any arcanist worth his gilder would know enough about chemistry to... Then it dawned on me. Maybe Caudicus wasn't an arcanist at all. Maybe he was simply a man in a dark robe who didn't know the difference between an alligator and a crocodile. And as far as that goes, like, because we do know that Caudicus is poisoning the Maer, like, this dude's a cold-blooded motherfucker, man. Like that, he isn't
Caudicus?
nervous. Yeah, like, he's poisoning the Maer, and he's just, like, going through fucking, like, Gossip Girl as he's making poison for one of the most powerful people in the world.
Yeah, I kind of forget that for some reason, I guess it's because of what he becomes or what happens with Caudicus, but I kind of forget he is kind of lighthearted. You know, like when Kvothe comes in, he's like, "Oh, look at you, the idiot, little jackass. Hey, what's up?" You know, and like, when he just goes on and on about like gossip and whatnot. Yeah, the fact that he's doing this and just like it's old hat for him, he's give a fuck. Like he doesn't have much. It doesn't worry him clearly.
Yeah, and so Kvothe, when he starts to doubt, he decides to test him, and he asks about the gilder around his neck, and he's like, "Is that an amulet? And does that protect you from spirits?" And so he asked Caudicus if he could touch it. When he touches it, he's like, "It bit me." Yeah, better go feed it. And so at that point, then he's like, yeah, this dude that's a genuine Arcanum Gilder. He was a real Arcanist. He knew exactly what he was doing.
Yeah.
He goes back, he sees the Sipquicks energetic, humming and chirping. What the fuck is that? Like, I just realized, like, is that how you spell chirping?
Chirrup? I don't know. Chirping?
I've never seen. Every time. Apparently, chirping. Like I just roll right through that where I think chirping because it's spelled CHIRRUPING. Chirping sweetly. I don't know. That seems like he got real fancy with the words. Rothfuss likes to do that, where he just made that word up. That doesn't even exist. But yeah, so he sees
type of chirp. It's a fancy chirp.
Yeah, they were giving him syrupy chirp. But
there's that syrup again.
Yeah. And then he's like, though our conversation hadn't touched on anything more serious than the weather, I could read his underlying message as plainly as if it had been written for me to read. He was in control. He was keeping his options open. He didn't trust me. Leaves you with that tension, man. It's just rampant through these chapters.
When he says, though our conversation hadn't touched on anything
Daniel steals the shit out of these chapters.
Yeah. The fact that they didn't touch on anything more serious than the weather, but then he, shows that he was serious and in control. Again, I know we've talked about this before, but it reminds me of Dennis, and they talk about the weather, and he's like, "Oh, is it hot?
Yeah. Oh, is it hot?
Is it hot, Wally? Mm-hmm. Is that what it is?"
Wally sure likes to tell me it's a hot one. No, I know it's a hot one because I was just out in the hot one.
Oh, man. I love the building anger of the situation.
It's one of the most legendary episodes in TV history. Man. It's the entire episode is just like the special fucking, mac and cheese.
Yeah.
Like, everything about that episode. And then, like, he ends up feeding him the dead dog.
Yeah.
Like, you know where that meat came from? Like, it gets so dark and twisted. It's so fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
They got some
classic
brilliant episodes. That is one of the best, though. But, yeah, that's it.
For I was thinking, when they're talking about the lack of trust and, should have just done, the old-fashioned trust fall, He should have just been like, okay, you stand. I'm going to be behind you. You ready? All right, you tip over. I'm going to catch you. See, and then at the end, he'd be you know what? You got me. I do trust you now.
Well, no, what he should have done is, like, had him do a trust fall and then let him hit the ground. Like, you fucking sucker. You've been drinking my tea. Like, you've been drinking that tea just unquestionably. Like, what, you think I can't drink it? Like, I've been, like, I wouldn't be able to just, like, take a little sip of it. You're drinking cups and pots of it. You idiot.
Probably everybody's seen it. I don't know if you've seen it, but I saw a meme once, or like a little GIF, where this dude's getting ready to do a trust fall. Looks like it's at a church or something, and he went the opposite way, where everyone was standing.
Fell
It's
forward.
like, it's so great because the whole idea of the trust fall, and he just fucking plants face first into the ground.
But who? I mean, I don't trust any of them ever again. I mean, that had to be a setup because, like, how is he that stupid? Like, did he not notice at any point that they were behind him and he fell forward?
He was so enraptured in the idea, I guess.
Yeah.
And he was
like, if that guy's that dumb, I don't even feel bad for him. You should plant it on your face.
Worth the image to me.
Yeah.
It's worth the image because I would never think about that if it wasn't for that meme, because I always thought it was so stupid anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah.
All right, so chapter 63 is titled The Gilded Cage, and in this chapter, Kvothe is, back in his room, so he gets summoned by the Maer again. The Maer is even less trusting of him, sends him back to Caudicus's room. Caudicus even tests him, and he kind of slips up a little bit because he had drank the Maer's tea, and it had the drug in it. And then eventually he ends up, after seeing that the Maer does not trust him, he goes out and starts looking for an escape route. Eventually, on the roofs, sees the light on, goes to Caudicus's room, sees him talking with Stapes, and realizes, like, oh shit, they might be working together. I might be really screwed.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, every one of these chapters is pretty great. There's something good going on. Gives us more. With going back to him being trapped in his room again brings on such an interesting sort of. He's got this wave back and forth of tension where he's kind of getting further with the Maer, then he's not so, and then again with the birds and everything. But yeah, and then being stuck here, and then reminding us that he's still thinking about trying to meet up with Denna, and he's worried what message he's sending her by the fact that he hasn't come to see her since.
And I like
busy.
Yeah, super busy, and I like that the fact that he told Caudicus what he's there for, and then when Caudicus gossips about it, like, then everybody's running up to him trying to give him gossip about all the people they don't like. They want to fucking have all that dirt in his book, and even when he's like trying to pass them off, he's like, go write it down. They're like, okay, I will write it down. And writing it down, sending it to him. So he gets a stack of slanderous stories. Eventually, he starts reading some of them too, which we get some interesting information out of those.
Well, I was going to say, this whole idea that he's above it. He's sitting in his room with nothing to do. I mean, he's got his loot, but if he's not playing it, suddenly he's not into the gossip. You wouldn't read this stuff. Like, they're literally...
It's not about
purposely
him.
Trying to slander other... Yeah, still, man.
I mean, it really makes him look very self-centered, because if it was stories about him, he's reading them over and over again. He's making songs about him. He's not going to fucking stop.
Which is really funny, too, because a lot of those stories he creates himself, or he has others create for him in tandem with him, and he just loves hearing about it spread, even when he knows it's not true.
It's like
ridiculous.
It's be like picking up this book, and then like you get like a quarter of the way through, and you're like, this isn't even about me. Boring.
He can't read any book.
Yeah.
Every single book is like, wait.
Yeah.
As soon as he realizes it's over. That's kind of
especially too. I mean, this guy loves stories. He loves plays, and he knows all the stories. He's a Demaroo. Yeah. I know all the stories. We value stories above everything else. Like, well, here's some salacious stories. Boring.
Yeah, I mean, about noble people.
Yeah.
Like, it builds out the world. It's about individuals. It's about individuals and how others see them. All should be very interesting to you.
Yeah.
Given your background.
It's one of those parts in the story that doesn't make a lot of sense that he's not interested in this, considering how much he makes the story is about stories and how much the Adumaru love stories and they want to know everybody's story. But yeah, he's not interested in this fucking really interesting gossip that would be really interesting to us. He's over it.
Especially while he's playing a character that's supposed to be interesting.
Yeah.
And he's not doing a lot else. He's stuck in his rooms again. So like what yeah, it's not the most consistent with a book that has been very consistent up to this point. In so many ways. It gets a little inconsistent in these parts.
Yeah. But yeah, then he goes and sees the mayor, and the mayor's, sitting up his bed. He's reading a copy of Fiorin's Claim of Kings in the original Eldvintic. I wonder if that story is going to come up. And I'm curious if, like, the Claim of Kings might have something to do with, like, the Civil War that goes on. The mayor's looking for a way to become a king in his own right, to usurp the King Roderick. I'm curious because there's nothing, we don't have anything off of that, but why I mention that book, it seems like that's going to, we'll know more. That's like mentioning the
Mating
Gibeah, the Duke of Gibeah, and like those things where it's like you don't, when they're first mentioned, you don't know anything about it, but then later on, when you go back to it, it's like, oh, okay, so he was reading
they
that
all ended
because,
all of them ended up mattering. Like pretty much every single one had something to play.
So and something called the Claim of Kings, and the fact that there's a Civil War coming, like you think that's probably going to come up again.
Yeah, but, one would think.
He checks the gilded cage and sees that they're, flying around all fucking having a good old time, drinking their poison diet, but it's not affecting them. He resists the urge to knock the cage about a little bit. He is over the Sipquicks. They're not these pretty little birds that he feels bad about anymore. He wants to fucking shake them and fucking die and squeeze them to death.
Well, and so we're getting here. He replaces the mayor's flask with cod liver oil, and it's all 3/4 full. What's that?
Been hilarious if like he just like murders all the birds and then like comes back into the room covered in fucking feathers and blood. And he's like, hey, they all died. They exploded. They exploded all over me. Like, it's just weird. It's just weird timing. But see, I was right.
He starts feeding them rice.
Yeah.
Or like, have you ever seen The Amazing Jonathan? He's a magician. Like, wait, dude, forever ago. It was like,
I bet you that guy did a lot of coke.
Yes, I would guess that as well. But I would say like in middle school, it was like especially on Comedy Central, or when we were in like junior high or high school. And I just remember one of the images was like suddenly a bird, and the crowd's like, "Oh!" And then he smashes it. He just starts smashing his hands, and then throws it behind him. It's like so surprising. Oh man, it's so funny.
Yeah.
PETA doesn't like this episode. They're not into it.
Then he sees that the mayor's not drinking that cod liver oil anymore, and yet another sign of my fading credibility. Wordlessly, I gathered up my things and prepared to leave, but before I made it to the door, the mayor turned his eyes from his book. Kvothe? Yes, your grace? It seems I'm not as thirsty as I thought. Would you mind finishing this for me? He gestured to the untasted cup of tea that sat on the table. To your grace's health, I said, and drank a sip. I made a face and added a spoon of sugar, stirred, and drank the rest of it with the mayor watching me. His eyes were calm, clever, and too knowing to be wholly good. So, again, just building and building and building tension.
Yeah, his credibility's waning, and then literally active suspicion.
And so he goes and sees Caudicus. Caudicus steps out to let him look at the rings again. He mentions that, you could guess someone's position in the court based off of the rings that they have. And when he gets back, he's like, I was not sure if you wanted your rings back, Caudicus said, gesturing. I looked back at the table and saw them resting on a tray. It seemed odd I hadn't noticed them before. I picked them up and slid them into my inner pocket of my cloak. Thank you, I said. When I nodded, the motion of my head made me dizzy. It was only then I realized the trouble. I drunk a full cup of the mayor's tea. That hadn't been much laudanum in it. or rather, not much laudanum if you were in pain and being slowly weaned from a budding addiction to ophalum. However, it was quite a bit of laudanum for someone like myself. So it's one of those situations again where he there's a number of times where he gets drugged up and it sets him off kilter, where he would normally be in a mindset where he would be able to navigate this situation, but because his wits are addled a bit, similar to like with when he goes to the I'm talking about like when he goes and Ambrose gets the better of him.
Yeah, but I mean that also happens on the horns when he's on the plumb bob, right?
Yeah, that's more he loses his temper. And like Ambrose's situation, like the only reason Ambrose was able to get the better of him is because when the medicine he took for the whipping, when that started to wear off, his wits became addled and got real slow.
Yeah, the candle. So. Yeah, and gets banned from the archives.
Yeah.
With, I mean, yeah, it kind of tells you got to time. It's all about timing your drugs, man. And, you don't really want to go on that lean when you're about to go in to Caudicus's lair here.
No, you don't want to start peaking like when you need to have your wits about you.
That's kind of brings up a funny idea for a character where literally you have him almost constantly, like I don't know, Hunter S. Thompson or something, where you have him almost constantly like getting ready to start tripping on acid, and then now he has to deal with the complications of the situation because
every time he goes to take acid, he takes it, and he's like, then someone knocks on his door, and he's like, he's got a big fucking big project he's got to finish. He's like, dude, I got like 45 minutes. It's like, I got 45 minutes, and then I'm done.
Right as he's finishing, it starts, taking hold.
Yeah.
His visuals get a little strange. All the lights start showing some tracers and whatnot.
But yeah, so I watched with half an eye as Caudicus mixed the medicine, but my wits were fuddled by the laudanum, and what remained were focused on other matters. The mayor was hardly speaking to me. Stapes hadn't trusted me from the beginning, and the flits were healthy as ever. Worst of all, I was trapped in my rooms while Denna waited down on Tinnery Street, no doubt wondering why I hadn't come to visit, which is ridiculous. That is not worst of all. Worst of all is the mayor thinks you're full of shit and might fucking kill you.
Put you in a cage.
Yeah.
Which is we keep getting this motif in these chapters of gilded cage, which the birds, but also the gibbet. And, these little suggestions are great. It's working.
Yeah, and then you get the big old brain on Brad. Caudicus, like, could you pass me the acid? Caudicus repeated as he finished measuring out a portion of leaf into mortar and pestle. I picked up the glass decanter and began to hand it to him before I remembered I was just an ignorant lordling. I couldn't tell salt from sulfur. I didn't know what acid was. I did not flush or stumble. I didn't sweat or stutter. I am a Demaroo born, and even drugged and fuddled, I am a performer down to the marrow of my bones. I met his eyes and asked, "This one, right?" I cleared the bottle. The clear bottle comes next. Caudicus gave me a long, speculative look. I flashed him a brilliant grin. "I've got a good eye for detail," I said smugly. "I've watched you go through this twice now. I bet I could mix the mayor's medicine myself if I wanted to." I love his... a lot of people don't like... I shouldn't say a lot of people. Some of the people who don't like these books, they don't like his bravado, his arrogance, his cockiness. I love that. I love I love confidence. I love cockiness. I love
Especially
a little bit of fucking swagger.
Man. Come on.
Yeah,
the main character in a book, in a story like this, you want him to be like a little fucking... I mean, you want his tail between his legs, and
I mean, if you're doing a different story, and it's it's about a totally different. But if you're doing a story about a notorious heroic figure, like the most well-known magician in this world, like you want like a fucking cocky, brash.
Well, and also how does someone do that after getting through Tarbine? I mean, how is he going to be capable of these things? Is it going to be luck? Because then he'd have to be a frickin' Mary Sue. It'd have to just be, oh, it's all in the cards for him, right? It's not that simple. He does have vulnerable pieces. Yeah, there are states where he is vulnerable, and we get that all the time with relationships, right? With Fella, with Jesus,
Ari,
Denna, yeah,
Denna,
Denna with Ari, yeah, we get those are here, but also he is also, again, Adima Reborn. He has confidence in what he knows he can do, right? And then it's perfect here because I pitch my voice with all the ignorant self-confidence I could muster. This is the true mark of nobility, the unshakable belief that they can do anything: tan leather, shoe a horse, spin pottery, plow a field, if they really wanted to. Right? They're not doing those fucking things.
Which, when I read that, like, that makes me think that I should. I was born to nobility.
I have written down on my notes, Dan must have noble blood.
Yes.
I have that in my notes.
See, we both were along the same pages. I read that, and I was like, yes. Like, if I wanted to, I could be great at all of those things.
Again, ignorant self-confidence. That's what we should underline here. Ignorant self-confidence. So, believing you're capable of doing all these things, if you wanted to, you'd excel at all
ignorant
these things.
In the fact that I'm not currently good at those things, but I could be if I wanted to.
Yeah, I mean, just fill in right in.
It didn't say stupid self-confidence. It said ignorant self-confidence.
Jesus. Oh, my goodness. But
yes, we both agree that I probably have noble blood.
Again, it is a funny critique, and it's kind of I would imagine that comes from from some of the same people. Well, no, I mean, I get it. There's validity to it, but I would assume some of the same people that would play the Mary Sue or make the Mary Sue claim may also have that. I think it would be likely that they would be falling in with that same critique.
Yeah.
When, for me, it's perfect, and these are the moments that it's not. I don't hold my hat. I'm not constantly looking for him to fit in this way, but in certain circumstances, it's very appropriate, and you root for him. And something like this, he's drug addled.
Yeah.
Right. So you want him to be able to work it out still. You don't want to completely blow his cover and be completely fucked here. You want to be able to handle his shit. It's not that interesting character that's constantly falling over himself.
Yeah, and I like the aspect of it where it's like he's like, even if I put on the perfect show and he didn't catch me on it, that's besides the point. The fact that he didn't trust me is a problem.
That's telling everything. Yeah, and that's what he comes away with, where it's like, shit, man. I got some problems here that I'm gonna have to manage, and he doesn't have any allies. I mean, that's the thing. He's here on his own, trying to handle all this shit, and a lot is hanging on these freaking birds, man.
And he goes from Caudicus testing him to Stapes stared daggers into my back as he lit me into the mayor's room, and Alvaron ignored me as I poured the new dose of poison into the Flitz feeders. The pretty things hummed about their cage with infuriating energy. And so, everybody is looking at him like the Caudicus testing him. Stapes looking at him like he's the devil. And the mayor does not trust him, even though he feels fucking better. You should have more trust, but, that's the way of his illness, so.
Well, and that's
rough one.
And that's the way he is as well. Yeah, well, again, it's all about these birds, man. It's
the fact that the birds are still alive is the huge problem. If he had never said anything about the birds, he'd probably be in a better situation.
Yeah,
but those birds are screwed.
And that's one of the interesting things, and what I love. This group of chapters really fit well together. They kind of pieced together a good group here. The beginning of the whole thing starts really fast. Right, he says you're being poisoned, and boom, he lays out basically a plan just off the cuff, just off the top of his head. Like, bring in some birds, feed the birds, they'll die. Right, they have high metabolism, blah blah. It'll spread quick. We'll see it quick, and now it's fucking him.
Yeah, and so when he goes back to his rooms, he starts laying out his plan of escape because he's like, if the Flitz didn't start dying tomorrow, it would probably be in my best interest to disappear from Severnus quickly and quietly as possible. Late that night, when I was reasonably sure the mayor wouldn't call on me, I slipped out the window of my room and made a thorough exploration of the gardens. And I like Rothfuss throws in just little funny touches where he's like, the last couple I nearly trod on while cutting through a hedgerow. They were neither strolling nor conversing in a conventional sense, but their activities were romantic. They didn't notice me. Like he's like got these moments where like people are just like banging away at each other and in these awkward settings that Kvothe is going through. It's similar to like when he's going to break into Ambrose's room and he runs on like threesome or whatever. And it takes it's a situation with a lot of tension, adds a little bit of subtle humor. But yeah, then he sees a light and he's like, I was about to move to a different window when Caudicus stood and began to walk to the door. The other person came into view, and even from the steep angle, I could recognize the portly, unassuming figure of Stapes. Stapes was clearly worked up about something. He made an emphatic gesture with one hand, his face deathly serious. Caudicus nodded several times in agreement before opening the door to let the manservant out. I noticed Stapes wasn't carrying anything when he left. He hadn't stopped by for medicine. He hadn't stopped by to borrow a book. Stapes had stopped by in the middle of the night to have a private conversation with the man who was trying to kill the mayor.
Yeah, I was thinking when he mentions he wasn't carrying anything when he left, I think I realized he doesn't mention this, but I think the reason why he thinks Stapes always looks like a grocer is he's always carrying an apple.
Yeah.
Or a piece of celery. He's always got a carrot, like a bag of carrots.
He's always got a bag of groceries. Like this guy, like when no one's around and doesn't need him, he's always like unpacking that grocery bag and then packing it back up again. He's just constantly bagging groceries, just practicing. He's just getting his skills going. Just constantly. He's the Michael Jordan of packing groceries.
Of bagging groceries. Did we talk about this before? About somebody bagging groceries and like being really, really good at it?
I don't know.
Like practicing bagging groceries, watching game
You should. Watching
like surveillance.
Yeah, you should.
I
think we might have talked about that, but yeah, you definitely should be. And Stapes definitely should be doing that. Like he should be just constantly practicing bagging groceries, because like if you're going to be known as like the baddest grocer in Severin, you better be the baddest bagger ever.
I love the idea that he's no longer working as a grocer, yet he's still his game is still on point.
Yeah, you never know. He's not going to
fall off.
What if the mayor dies? What if the mayor dies?
Not only that, what if, I remember Jordan back in the day had in his contract, you can always play a pickup game. What if somebody comes up on Stapes is like, let's go. He's got to be ready, man. He's got to be sharp, A game all the time.
Yeah. That's probably what's happening is like people are constantly challenging to bagging contests. So he's just constantly working on his craft because everybody's like, I hear you're the fastest bagger in Severin.
It's one of the benefits. One of the benefits of being with the mayor, all that cash is like he can practice all eggplants one week.
Always getting challenged by these up and comers, and he's just dominating them.
Yeah,
it's like you don't even know, man. This is all I do, buddy. This is all I do.
I love picturing this like the Wild West movies when they roll into town. He's like, I heard you're the one.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not what I heard. And there's the rumor mill and everything. And he's always just like he's murdering dudes.
Just standing in the hallway of the castle, and then like the fucking little fucking ball of whatever rolls across the floor. Tumbleweed. The tumbleweed blows across. The guy here, you're the fastest bagger in Severin. Tumbleweed.
Picturing it like he's blowing on his fingers.
Yeah.
And you know what? Another opportunity for the fingerless gloves, where he's like he throws them on. He's like he's ready to go, I like it.
Pulling out an apple, like throwing it up in the air, banging it off one shoulder, off the other, elbowing it. Fucking when he catches it, it's like split into 8 pieces.
That's one hell of a grocer.
Yeah.
There he is. Well, no wonder Kvothe just sees it. It's just there, man. He can't. Yeah. It's in his DNA. It's what he was put on this earth to do.
Baddest grocer on the fucking planet.
Jesus.
But yeah, so what do we got next week? We got we're gonna get the conclusion of the fucking poisoning. The mayor is going to realize that Caudicus is poisoning him. They find out that the mayor has been replacing the birds. The birds have been dying the whole time, but not the mayor, Stapes. But Stapes has been replacing the birds the whole time. And so he gets in the mayor's good graces.
Yeah, that's such a huge reveal first time through, man.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fantastic. And it even makes you think like Stapes was in on it at first. The first time you're going through, you're like, oh, he was.
Well, but yeah,
like, oh, nope.
But then also the epiphany for Stapes where it's like, oh, shit. And then he's like so indebted to Kvothe. I don't remember how quickly that plays out. But
right away, yeah. I mean, at the end of that chapter when he leaves the mayor, Stapes is like gives him the ring and everything.
It's a 180, dude. It's a complete 180, and it's profound. The payoff's great, man. Like Rothfuss really did a good job in building to that quite well, for sure.
Yeah, so we'll get that. We'll get another meeting with Bredon. Bredon gets pissed and whoops his ass in TAC, and we'll also get his reuniting with Denna.
That's also an important aspect. That's where we get the cold-bloodedness of Bredon, where he can be cold-blooded if need be, prove his point, what have you.
Yeah, it'll be a good episode. There's a lot of good stuff in that.
It's funny how every group of chapters, there's always good stuff. How could that be? I guess it's a pretty good book.
Right? Yeah, but the episode after that's going to be fucking garbage.
Wait, the episode or those chapters are garbage? Are you just not going to bring your A game?
Well, I mean, yeah, but when you're dealing with those chapters, like, there's just not much you can do. They're just
I think we raise above it a lot more. I'll think of some more stuff about groceries. We'll bring that in.
Yeah,
some more lean talk. Bring up some more. That'll
be an episode. We'll do the video for. I mean, we'll do the video for you ladies out there. You just throw us that Bitcoin. You can see Tim's fucking bare chest. But
perhaps
next
so what we should
that
do,
episode when we do the boring chapters, we'll be bagging groceries. We'll time each other. I think a combination bag groceries,
bagging groceries, slowly drinking purple drink, right, or some other type of drug, and then you get to hear the results.
Yeah,
just spice it up a little bit.
I haven't professionally bagged groceries before, but I'm sure that if I did it, I would be really good at it.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
It's one of the very few jobs I haven't had is bagging groceries. I've worked at a grocery store, but I didn't bag groceries.
I've done it myself, like when they're checking me out and I had to bag my own groceries. I feel like I do a pretty good job.
The biggest, most important thing? Bread. Don't fuck with the bread, man.
Bread at the bottom, bread. Everything else on top.
Yeah, that is not exactly what you don't do, is what you just described. Most important thing. Smash up my fucking bread. Oh, that's great. Just fucking put it in one. That's what I like to do. Just go ahead and smash it into a piece.
Well, I agree to disagree.
That's what you like. Literally, what you do. Someone bought bread and you just grind it down, just to get it in the bag. Like, I took care of the bread for you.
Take it and like push it all together. Just like squish it together and then put it at the bottom and just like smash gallons of milk on top of it. Just pound it down. Like, what are you doing, man? Like that? You don't do that with the bread. Oh, agree to disagree.
I'm condensing it.
Yeah,
I'm the expert, and I'm going to fit way more in this bag than you would if you didn't do that. Way more. Yeah. What do you want? One bag for bread? Yeah. What are you doing?
Do you not even care about the environment? Fucking asshole.
I bet you'd put the bread in with the chips. I bet that's what you would do. You'd have one bag with like 3 things in it. Yeah, I bet that's what you would do.
Oh man, someone should do that as like a prank show where like someone's just like smashing all their groceries and to like fit the most amount into a little thing, like taking a bag of chips and like opening it up so that they can just smash it completely together. And like so the air doesn't block the way.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. Yeah, that's how you condense everything. Do the same thing with cereal.
Starting fights. You'd have to have like bodyguards for that bagger.
You take the cereal out of the box, get rid of the box, open up the cereal, smash it down. That's what you want with your cereal too.
People would be like, "No, I'm not paying for that." Like, well, you already have. You already checked. I already rang it up. There's no take backs. No take backs.
Just have a sign.
Yeah.
Pull up like a card out of your pocket. See, no take backs. See, it says it right here. No take backs.
Then like you set it up where like there's other lines where people are like helping them smash their own groceries. And so they're just like, what the fuck is this? Like everybody else is just doing this? Like I don't understand. Like you're the asshole for complaining when everybody else is doing it. They just completely throw off their fucking game. They have no idea what's going on.
What universe am I in?
Yeah.
What happened today? Like I was here. I've been coming here my whole life. What just happened?
Like maybe pour like the milk on the bread because maybe like if it softens up, you can smash it even smaller. You can fit even more in the bag.
I liked it. Yeah, just keep with this theme too. Like so, jar of pickles. We open them, close it back up, put it in the bag. Yeah. Milk, open it, close it back up. This is what we do. We unseal everything as you buy it. That's how you know it's fresh.
Yeah. Open up a jar of pickles and like stuff the celery in the pickles. Like, no, there's more room in that pickle. Like that jar, you could fit. I can save so much space.
We're all about maximizing space here, sir. That's what this is all about.
I'd watch that. Just like the social experiment of seeing everybody else just accepting it, and you're like just seeing all your groceries smashed and mangled.
It would be an interesting social experiment in the sense of I don't remember the term for it, but I've seen this before where it's like everybody in a room, they just push a button and everybody stands, and eventually people just start doing it because everybody else is doing it. Yeah, one of those situations.
Do it like with the elevators where everybody's facing the wrong way, and then like the person gets on and like turns and faces the wrong way.
I like this. I like this one though because it would be a situation of like, are you fucking kidding me? Like you're just ruining my food.
Yeah,
everybody's cool with this.
Yeah,
like what where am I at right now?
It's what we do. Maximize space.
Priorities just get completely changed.
Yeah.
The priority becomes, no, the food will be sacrificed just to use one bag.
Sir, you're in a TJ Maxx grocery store. Why do you think it's called Max? We max the space.
I don't think TJ Maxx sells groceries, though.
I said TJ Maxx grocery store. I mean, come on. I solved that problem.
Okay. All right. You went a little further in the fictional realm that I was ready to go for.
Well, if we're talking about smashing people's groceries, we can go whatever realm we want. We can make up anything.
All right. The Container Store. That's what it is.
Yeah.
It's all about containment, sir. That's what this is.
That would actually be the perfect place to do a prank like that. It's like they start their own grocery store, and they're just all about maximizing space. In the most ridiculous ways. But all right, I think that'll fucking wrap it up for this episode, and we will be back next week. So fucking shove it in your face as always, and peace out.
Yeah, condense. Remember to condense your foods, your food products.
Condense that face. Smash it in.
Okay.
All right. Peace out.
Yeah.